But SoldieR, representing the United States of America, versus Garja, his opponent from Italy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're spawning into Kamchatka. Here we go. Spawning on the bottom of the map in the color blue. We do indeed have SoldieR, as I said, playing with the British. Let's take a look at the crate starts and see how much wood will be beginning. But we are now into the game. It's a 300 wood start there. So this will be mirrored. Both players will receive exactly 300 wood. And my camera is covering up the UI, but that will be fixed in just a moment. So I'll move this down here so that when the camera does move up to the top left, it will be in the right position. But let's put Control-Shift-F on and see where these explorers are headed if they come across any treasures on their way. In the middle of the map, that's usually where the players will head, because you start with the only place on this map where two goats spawn together is in the middle. It's here and here. Every other spawn on this map, there is only a singular goat. So players will usually rush towards the middle where those goats are spawned, and you'll often find at least one big treasure. Here we have 75 food in the middle of the map that both players should be quite interested in. Absolutely. Maito, my co-caster, is joining me today, everybody. Maito, what do you think of the British mirror, and what are your thoughts so far?
I actually really like this matchup, even though most people don't like it. Most people don't like it because it tends to be a musket fest, where you pretty much only train musketeers and nothing else. But I find it usually pretty interesting just because I feel like you have to play very, very precisely, and I really like watching how players choose to do that, and if they choose to make any like weird adaptations or go for any sorts of cheese and stuff like that.
I really like the British mirror too.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how they play it.
There we go. A bit of a treasure contention, though, Maito. Looks like Garja will be picking up the treasure, but not before SoldieR is able to get into hand combat with his opponent's explorer there. Since he was going for the treasure, he took a lot of damage from that treasure guardian, and it looks like SoldieR, I think, this might be calculated. He wasn't rushing to the middle. He scouted around the sides here, and was perhaps waiting for Garja to take the treasure, just so that he could come in at the last moment, potentially steal it, which he would probably have loved, but didn't manage to steal it, but does indeed get the hand attack, and is able to chase this explorer all the way home, keep it low HP, and prevent treasuring. But we'll keep an eye on that. He can't go any further. He's next to that town center now, which is quite vulnerable. We don't want Freitag to die, the pet monkey there. But yes, Maito, I really enjoy the British mirror as well. I love how aggressive it is for a civ that is traditionally, in most people's minds, quite a boomy civ. Everyone wants to make manors, train settlers, all that kind of stuff. But I expect we'll see outposts in the middle of the map and barracks. And I really like seeing, if you can get away with adding a few extra, say, longbowmen to your composition to help out with that musk. Because you are right, we do see a lot of musketeers in this matchup, and that I think is largely because we don't usually go to the Fortress Age very quickly in the British mirror. It's just one of those matchups where you tend to stay Colonial Age. But players, Garja at least, is now aging up. Let's switch over to shipment sent. We can see both players have sent 3 villagers as to be expected, and Garja going up with the governor politician. All villagers now switched over to wood to build manor houses, and now going to start shooting these deer, or these caribou rather, towards the town center there. The same for SoldieR.
I'm kind of interested to see how SoldieR chooses to play this, because SoldieR's kind of known for not exactly being the most standard player in the world. He doesn't always go for the meta thing. So we could definitely see him do something different, like maybe a cav start, or mixing longbows, or trying to age, or something really weird. We'll have to wait and see, but I definitely think it's something that's on the table for him. Something I just want to point out as well is Garja actually chose to age with like one less villager than SoldieR, and he had to idle his town center a little bit to do that. And this is kind of an interesting point because aging up, if you age up before your opponent in the British mirror, that means that you get your tower down faster, you get your barracks down faster, and sometimes if you age up early enough, your opponent can't even forward base is on like where you forward base if you age up fast enough, which is what Garja did.
Yeah, and we might see
that. So as a result,
now.
like SoldieR can't even afford to send forward villagers at this point.
Yeah, we can see Garja, as you were saying, went up a Ville sooner. He's now up to the Colonial Age, and this outpost wagon is now heading towards the middle of the map. And you can see this villager from Garja, the red player, has had a head start, an intentional extra bit of time to get this barracks down, get those muskets in queue, and sort of give himself that bit of an advantage. Tower not going to go next to the barracks, actually going to secure line of sight and a bit of extra control over this area. Kamchatka is made up of lots of choke points and a nice strategic outpost. Usually you'd see them go up next to the barracks just to give it a bit of extra beefiness, but because Garja is on the front foot, so to speak, SoldieR having to place his barracks in base, and Tower going to go up next to it as well. Garja's first shipment now in 700 wood. With that, I expect to see manners, possibly a second barracks, and maybe the steel traps upgrade and placer mines as well. You can see he's got hunting dogs, but we'll be interested in improving the upgrades there. We'll see what SoldieR goes for as well. 700 wood. Steel traps now coming in for SoldieR, but mirror build so far, except Garja up a little bit sooner.
Yeah, and with a little bit more map control, too. So this is definitely looking pretty good for Garja at the moment, and I especially like what he's done with Tower and the barracks. Gives him a lot of control over what goes on in the game. First 5 muskets out, and there we go. SoldieR does actually make longbows instead of muskets, so this is going to be something that Garja's not going to have an easy time pushing into, and it could actually give SoldieR a window to maybe age up or something like that in the next minute or two here.
Yeah, this is... Longbow is going to be very effective against the musketeers here, and Garja just poking in, but he gets shot out by an outpost and realizes that he can't continue any further. Also took a volley of arrows from the longbowman, so knows that that is the case. Let's take a look in base. We'll see if other military buildings go up, perhaps a stable or something to deal with longbows. But currently, 600 wood now arriving for Garja on the floor. We'll see what he elects to do with that, but continuing to make muskets for the time being there. Second barracks coming down. Okay, so not going to be a stable. What do you anticipate from a second barracks then? I suppose longbows of his own, potentially, off the 600 wood?
I think he'll just continue to use that for manners and just continue musketeer production.
Right.
Normally, you don't make longbows in this matchup unless you just want to be kind of defensive. Although he's being aggressive with the longbows at the moment, which is totally fine. He's put his units in a situation where he can actually use his muskets to pull the longbows away from danger if need be.
Right.
But I think Garja being a very, very standard player, he'll just stick with the sort of meta unit composition, which is just pure musketeer. And he could go for some sort of timing push if he feels like SoldieR's aging, if he notices there's not a lot of units, that type of thing. And so we can sort of see that SoldieR doesn't really have a second barracks right now. He went for that 5 villager card as his second card. So he's not going to have the military advantage in a minute here if Garja continues to get full batches of units. And okay, actually, he did actually choose to make longbows, so... apparently I'm totally out of the loop. Maybe mixing a few longbows is actually good in the mirror or something.
Well, they're certainly strong against the musketeers, right? And I suppose he's following up that early age up with longbows to help him out, be a bit more aggressive perhaps. But coming around this other side of the map to try and poke in at villages wasn't successful. He picked up Freitag, killed the monkey that he got for free that the SoldieR got off the Treasure Guardian. But here, lots of longbows, really switching into longbows now. SoldieR, though, at 700 coin just in. We'll see what he intends to do with that. Probably going to go up to the fortress age of the back of the 700 coin. You can see that almost all of his villages, well, lots of villages certainly on food at the moment. But SoldieR pushing forward, trying to take down this outpost. Longbows coming in from Garja to repel. It looks like he's going to lose a couple of muskets here. Yeah, doesn't want to continue. Each musket, of course, worth 100 resources. Not really worth trying to take out the tower, but is trying to be aggressive on the map with them. If he can get that tower down, that would be really good for him.
Yeah, and there's a raid from Garja in the back of the base here as well. Picked off 1 villager at the cost of 1 musketeer, so it's a pretty good trade for him. He'll be just getting on out of there and distracting a little bit of SoldieR's army as well as getting himself some information. But yeah, it looks like SoldieR is going to be trying to age behind this. He's got his second racks down now, so it looks like it's going to be an age up, get his veteran musketeer upgrades, push with falconets or something.
It looks like he's lost a second musketeer for that trade as well, and possibly his explorer. Did pick up a vill, which is really nice here, but now needs to get these musketeers to safety. Looks like he's not going to pursue that any further. Lots of longbows here. And yes, you're absolutely right. SoldieR really now looking to age, has all the resources. The age up now in, and we can see that he'll be going up with the Adventurer Politician, which grants 7 longbows upon reaching the next age. Looks like Garja, though, this could be a really solid timing for him. He's looking to push in here, sending Musketeer Grenadier damage, and is going to have quite a strong timing. Extra 15% attack on these Musketeers here, just as SoldieR is aging up to the next age.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I don't know how strong it will actually be, though. I mean, like musket attack is good, but like half his longbow or half his army is longbows, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And at the same time, like there's also the potential for Minutemen and stuff like that. I feel like Soldier's actually probably in a totally fine position here, and yeah, Garja just sort of has to back off for now.
Yeah, isn't going to come in. Not interested in killing those houses, I suppose. As British, they can just, when they build a house, get a free villager. You don't really want to give them the option to use that again. But I think actually it's still, worth killing them. They're worth 140 wood. It's quite expensive to rebuild them for population. They take a long time to build, and all this good stuff. You do get XP for killing them as well. But longbows and muskets are pushing in. Does pick off a villager with the long-range longbows here and is now going to siege down that barracks. Soldier, 2/3 aged, and now in the back, really massing up his muskets here. He's almost got his 200 wood for the veteran upgrade. When he hits in, he can upgrade them. They'll have 20% attack and hit points. But forward barracks goes down. But I think that's a fine price to pay for aging up. I think Soldier will be pleased that that's the only damage he's taken for the age up decision he made.
Yeah, I can't be too unhappy about that. He's adding an artillery foundry now as well behind this.
Oh, baby.
And gathering a lot of gold. So I wonder if he's going to be training a couple of falconets in addition to that falconet shipment, which could make for a really, really strong timing, especially against the unit composition that Garja has at the moment with full infantry. And as we can see, Garja himself is not aging yet, although it looks like he may be macroing to follow Soldier up to the Fortress Age in a moment, perhaps with a 700 gold shipment. But it's definitely going to be really, really scary for a minute or two while he tries to age up.
Yeah, looks like Garja, he's seen the age up. He now wants to come in and do a little bit of damage. So Garja knows that his army is going to be safe for at least 30, 40 seconds because that's how long it takes a shipment to arrive. And we're going to see, 2 falconets. He's also researching the veteran musketeers. They're not veteran until just now, so he's got this time to take out, do a little bit of damage, say 2 houses, which is now actually popped Soldier. He's 109 out of 90, so going to have to rebuild them and doesn't really have the wood reserves to do that quickly. So does, however, ship 2 falconets, get 1 volley off the shipment there. Veteran Musk's coming forward and has trained 2 cannons as well from his artillery foundry. But Garja got some damage in now, leaving safe and sound.
Yeah, and this is going to be a scary moment for Garja. One thing he does have going for him is his army is a lot more mobile. We could potentially even just see him loop around the back here and try to just go for a giant raid with this army and try and distract soldiers, do a little bit of damage that way. And Soldier will have a little bit of trouble responding to that just because falconets are not the most speedy units in the world. And he's just going to be sending a small raiding party, it looks like, not going to be committing to anything super crazy like a base trade or something weird like that. But holding these Raxes in this forward position seems like it's probably going to be nearly impossible against 4 Falcons.
Yeah, I think they're going to go down very, very quickly. It looks like Garja not in the position, not interested in going around the back to deal damage, whilst soldiers, very slow, immobile army cannons move quite slowly, are out in the open over here. Instead, it looks like he's coming home with his units. He's going to stay in his base, wait for the upgrade to come into the Fortress Age. Look, he's rebuilding his barracks at home, and then he can get his veterancy upgrades in and perhaps ship 2 cannons of his own. But the issue here, Maito, I think is going to be how do you deal with 4 cannons? Usually there's only 2 to deal with because of the shipment. Actually, training cannons is quite, an expensive proposition. The artillery foundry is a 300 wood building, and, with it, he's only made 2 units, right? It just doesn't seem like a great value proposition. But 4 cannons is, once you've got them, very, very solid. And Soldier has gotten away with it and has got those 4 cannons out. And I think he's going to be really pleased once he walks into Garja's base here. I wonder how Garja will deal with 2 cannons. 4 cannons.
It seems like a really, really good adaptation from Soldier because it gives him a lot of pressure while Garja's aging. And Garja, I think, is kind of forced to have to invest into culverins, but he doesn't even have an artillery foundry yet. And I feel like if he's not going to make culverins, then I don't see how he can deal with these falconets.
Yeah, Culverin is the specific anti-artillery unit that you can create at the artillery foundry, for those that are wondering. But it looks like Soldier is just massing musks and longbows, and I think he intends to just brute force these units down, perhaps. He's just going to walk in up to as close as he can get to the cannons and just sort of shoot at them. He'll take a lot of damage doing it, but that is one way to deal with cannons here. But SoldieR not actually being too aggressive with these units at the moment. He's sort of walking around the map, not committing to a pressure. Some longbowmen on the side here coming in perhaps to try and raid food villages, but Garja going to respond to that with units of his own. Garja, okay, looks like we're going to have a big fight here. 4 cannons versus, he's got 2 of his own. He's going to have to focus.
SoldieR's not watching. He lost a lot of muskets for free there while he wasn't looking. But
oh my goodness! Holy!
Die instantaneously.
Wow! Oh wow! What? Did he get 2 cannons on each one? Was that like the?
Yeah, I guess so. Or it could have just been really good splash damage, depending on exactly where they shot. Yeah, like that's why 2 Falcons is not going to be enough, and you really need culverins to try and deal with this.
Yeah, I mean 2 Falcons versus 2 Falcons, fair enough. But when you've got all that splash damage coming in, I think those 2 Falcons just sort of walked in on top of each other just as the cannonballs came in. You've got to really try and avoid that. And now I don't know how Garja deals with this. 4 cannons. He's going to have some sort of... Oh, come on, the cannons are out of position, right? The musketeer's quite far away, but they do have really strong damage against infantry. Trying to melee combat them down, I think that's the best option at this point, but it's just not working out for SoldieR. And I think that one moment really has decided this game. Yeah, there's nothing he can really do here. And these units are just going to get destroyed versus the 4 cannons here, doing a bit of a 360. But Garja going to declare GG there, and I think he's absolutely right to do so. That was absolutely awful for Garja for that to happen. That was so unfortunate to lose both of his artillery pieces to these 4.
Well, I think it was really ambitious to try and fight with just the 2 Falcons anyway. Like, there's no way that you win that fight. Like, even if you trade 2 for 2, you're still in a really bad spot, and there's no way that you're going to trade 2 for 2 if SoldieR's on top of things. I mean, he's adding an artillery foundry now at the end of this game, but he kind of chose to fight before it arrived anyway. I mean, he said his attack move bugged, which I don't know, maybe it did, but I feel like it was still not the best position to be in. So yeah, I don't know. Just I feel like he really needed to not be lazy about the cannon production, which is something that I feel like a lot of people don't respect. If they really need to make culverins, a lot of people will just avoid it because controlling cannons can be kind of annoying.
Yeah, even just, 1 or 2 culverins. You don't have to make very many at all to deal with them. The culverins have such good range that you can really just sort of prevent the falconets from coming near you, because they'll know that, these falconets, they don't want to get within range at all of the culverins. And Garja would have been... well, I think culverins was the answer there, but the foundry coming in a little bit late. Let's take a look at the post-game graphs here. All resources gathered. You can see SoldieR does have slightly early lead. I think that may be because of the extra villager that he had. Garja chose up to go a little bit sooner. Here it really does take the lead in the late game, but not going to be enough when you lose all of those cannons just in one volley. You can see here that fight at the end really not good for Garja, but that is going to be an unfortunate British mirror to start this series. But fear not, Garja, it is a best of 9, and there's plenty of maps to go, plenty of games to go, and much time to get back that point and even the score. But yes, we will head on out now. Let's take a look at the civilization selection screen. Both players have played British, and now that SoldieR has won with the British, he cannot play British for the rest of the series. So that will be disabled to him, and basically going forward for the rest of this best of 9, he won't be able to play British. The gain? Oh. Yeah. Okay, we can do that. We'll see. I perhaps will do it for the next game, or the next series. Maybe we're set up now. We'll give it a go. We can do that. You did say that before. It is a good idea. Okay, so this will be game number 2. SoldieR can no longer play British. Garja, however, can. Yes. SoldieR won the previous game, so he must select first. And then
And he's going to be
afterwards,
picking Germany, one of his staple civilizations.
yeah, SoldieR very strong with Germany. That's one of his favorite civs here, and I think he's going to be quite pleased picking up the W in the first game, and now he can move into one of his strong civilizations in this second match. Garja, he now gets to pick afterwards. He gets the counter pick, so to speak, since he didn't win the previous game. Let's see what he elects to take. Remember, everybody, a new contest has started. Who will win game 2? So the bets will close in about 3 minutes' time, or maybe 2 minutes. I'm not sure. We'll get some clarification in the chat from whoever's in the booth, so to speak. But yes, you can see on the screen how to bet. We'll quickly flash over to that so that you can see exactly how to do it. You type in bet X, and then we'll switch over because I'm not sure how. Yeah, it looks like you type !bet, and then the name of the player, and then the number of points that you want to bet. Everyone will have 100 points because we give 100 points to everyone when the game starts, or just before, when the betting opens, so to speak, and you will also have your prize winnings from all of the other bets. At the end of the stream, the player with the person with the most points will win a Steam game of their choice up to the value of $40. So do participate. Looks like instructions are in the chat, but Garja going to be selecting Spain versus Germany here. Actually, I really like this. I really, really like this. From my vanilla days, I remember Spain versus Germany, always a very good matchup for Spain because of the lack of falconets for SoldieR. But actually, Garja changed his mind. He's a bit undecided, he says there. He can, SoldieR is locked in. SoldieR has to play Germany, but Garja, until he says that he has selected a civ, he may decide. And I absolutely agree with him to take his time. The civilization selection is very important because, if he wins with Spain in that match on Baja, California, he won't be able to play Spain later on in the series. And later on in the series, we do have some very good maps for Spain.
And I know that Garja is sort of a player that's really comfortable with mirror matchups. I'm not really sure how comfortable he is with German mirror in particular, but in general, I feel like he likes to play the mirror, feels pretty confident that he can perform well in them. And I think that German mirror is something that will be a lot more interesting to people than something like the British mirror in the first game. The game tends to be a little bit more dynamic and aggressive. So we will see if this is what he chooses.
I really like the options available to Germany. I've seen all sorts in the German mirror. You can see that forward racks. You can see Doppelsodner start in that colonial age, but also the semi-FF is on the table as well. And this is a brilliant map for German mirror, I think. I really love Baja, California, which is why it's in the map pool. So for those that don't know, Garja did make this map, actually. Garja has made most of the maps. Garja is our map maker at ESOC. But yes, Baja, California, not Garja, California. Players vie for control of a winding trade route in the middle of the map there. You can see it on the mini-map. And we're actually divided in two by a mountain range. There's a big pass in the middle where that central trading post is, and then a couple of much smaller chokes. So that's how this map works. It's quite closed, but once you get through on either side of the mountain range, it's very open. So the map is a very open map, but there are chokes right in the middle where you can seal it off, and I really like that sort of dynamic. But looks like SoldieR has pasted the map pool in there so that Garja can look. Maito, can you go over why civilization selection is so important? Because later on in this map we have like high plains, we've got fertile Cresent, Deccan, some really high trading post maps, and I think that's why Garja was reluctant to play Spain, even though he might want to.
Spain is one of the few civilizations where you can use like advanced trading post, which basically makes your trading posts a lot cheaper and a lot harder to kill. And you might want to just save that for a map like Deccan or New England, where you can just send advanced trading posts, take control of that whole trading post line, get that stagecoach upgrade, and get your economy rolling really strongly very early on in the game. Baja California, they have it has a decent trading line, but not one that you would normally want to send a card like ATP for. So that might be something that he has in mind.
Yeah,
Although
I think Garja really wants to play Spain. I know Garja's very strong with Spain. He's played it a lot on vanilla, and indeed, I imagine in ESOC tournaments and just generally on the ladder. And I think Spain might be his go-to civ to deal with Germany. But I think he wants to save Spain. For one of those maps that we're mentioning, he'd like to play it now. But if he wins, he cannot use it. So that is definitely a consideration. So it looks like Garja's not fully familiar with the civilization selection. Maito will explain it in the chat, I suppose. But we'll just clarify for Garja exactly how this works. So I think the confusion stems from the fact that ESOC uses different civ rules, but until recently, that's been the standard. But now balance on Age of Empires 3 with the ESOC patch is at a point where I think it's actually really, really solid. So, civilization balance is sort of on point at the moment. And because of that, we don't need, civ rules that encourage diversity. We can just go sort of back to more vanilla civ rules where you can play pretty much any civilization you like. So I think Garja thinks he needs to play more civs than he actually needs to. And this is the new rule set that we'll be using for the New World Championships. I think people still sort of deciding, still sort of figuring that out. Looks like Kaiser in the chat there. Have you explained it to him? Yep.
Yeah, I hope he understands. But, yeah, I don't know. He's taking a lot of time. I think Germany is a civ he doesn't like playing against in general. So maybe that's why he's not certain what he wants to play here.
Yeah.
I know this. Go on.
I was going to ask you, what other civilizations do you think Garja might consider versus Germans? Because Garja, right, I think he's got quite a diverse civilization pool, but I mean, any play on ladder at least. So what do you think is sort of on the cards for him, so to speak?
For Garja in particular, I'm not really certain what he's comfortable playing into Germany. I've played a lot of German versus Spain against him. I know that he thinks that matchup is quite good for Spain, but I don't know if he's comfortable in that matchup. So honestly, I'm really not sure what he'd play. I think that's sort of why he's hovering around the mirror here, because he's not sure what else to play. But at the same time, I don't know if he's comfortable enough in the mirror to want to commit to it.
I see, especially considering SoldieR, this is one of his prime civilizations, and, the German mirror, I'm sure, something he's very familiar with. So Garja probably reluctant to go on into that. He's thinking, okay, he looks like...
It is going to be the mirror, though.
He has decided, he has elected for a German mirror. He had 3 civilizations in mind, and I suppose he's sort of weighing them all up. But given the rest of the map pool, this is the decision he has made. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 2 in this best of 9 series between SoldieR and Garja. This is a $200 show match. Formerly a $100 SoldieR, a $100 show match, but SoldieAoE in the Twitch chat put up an extra 100, like he said he would if we could get this matchup underway. So thank you very much to SoldieR, and there's a lot on the line here for the players, but spawning on the right-hand side of the map here, we do have SoldieR starting with his 3 settler wagons. It's a 100 wood, 100 coin start. So unlikely to see a trading post out of SoldieR initially. He doesn't have that extra wood, and that is going to be the same for Garja as well, who will have the exact same crate starts. Looks like he's going to be going for a market, and I would expect that from SoldieR as well, but currently leaving that coin on the floor, not going to be gathering it at all. Let's turn Control-Shift-F on and take a look at the scouting parts. Garja coming across 60 wood as his first treasure. That's going to make the hunting dogs nice and easy to grab. We'll switch over to TBRs to see the text being researched. SoldieR, though, hasn't come across anything just yet. 60 wood there. I anticipate he might come back for that, just double backing on himself to make sure Garja's not coming through one of these passes, and then once he sees it is safe, he can possibly go back, or maybe go towards the middle of the map and potentially contest a treasure that Garja is going for. Players often like to be in the middle of the map, or towards where their opponent might be, just in case there is some sort of treasure they might be able to steal. You always want to contest that where you can. But Garja is going to get hunting dogs in at the market now, and is also going for, in the top here, 80 wood as well. I think Garja is going to be very pleased with these finds. But SoldieR not picking up anything just yet, just checking out the map, seeing all the treasures. He'll know if his opponent's going for one because he's got line of sight to it, but finds a free 30 coin. Absolutely, why not pick that up? But what do you think is on SoldieR's mind then? That 60 would look pretty juicy to me. Even that 150 coin I would be tempted by as well. But SoldieR, he just wants to scout around, and he's picking up all the small ones.
Yeah, well, I saw him use his crack shot on a smaller treasure that was near that 60 wood. So he didn't actually have the crack shot up when he was nearby. That's maybe one reason why he didn't go for it. I don't think he's going for this 150 coin, because I think he's hoping that Garja starts it. He could go for it now, because if he doesn't see Garja on this side of the map starting any treasures here, he can probably safely assume that Garja is on the other side of the map, so we'll see if he chooses to start it. But I know that SoldieR likes to sort of go for that style a little bit, where he plays, sort of the contest, like your treasure type of game, where he finds the treasures and he just sort of like hovers around and hopes that you start it. And it can be
like he did in the previous game.
It can be pretty annoying when it works, and it's quite strong. So
yeah, it is very strong. We saw it in the previous game, right? That 75 food treasure in the middle of Kamchatka. He let Garja go for it. Garja did pick it up, but SoldieR, I think, coming in at the last moment, hoping for the steal. Your opponent does all the work and takes all the damage, and then often, if you don't manage to get the treasure, you can just go into hand combat with them and force them, all the way back to their town center. And that's especially strong in a matchup like the German mirror, like the British mirror, where you actually only begin with one scout. Some other players, some other civs get extra scouts, but is going to pick up that 150 coin, and now Garja going for 95 wood.
Yep, and both players going to be aging up at the same time here. Garja slightly ahead because he did get that early market, so one of the reasons you don't always go for a market on a gold start is because sometimes it slows down your age up, but thankfully for Garja, he did get enough treasures that wasn't the case. SoldieR, on the other hand, going to be just slightly behind because of that, but not going to be a super big deal for him, most likely.
Often in Age of Empires 3, we like to take a look at Age 1 and say sort of who won, and we do that by looking at who got the most, goats or livestock out on the map, and, if there are any fights or any sort of treasure collecting. But I'd say, fairly even Age 1 in terms of treasures. SoldieR does get a nice beefy coin treasure. No, actually, Garja is, 60 wood there. He got 80 wood as well, and I think he's going to be really happy with those because it did manage to get that market. So Garja, I'd say, came out on top in that Age 1, but the game is not defined by Age 1. It is in the rest of the game. But both players now up to the Colonial Age with the Quartermaster, which will grant 400 wood when they arrive. During transition here, both players have gotten the, if a market, if they hadn't done so already. SoldieR going to put that down sort of in transition, and has also constructed a trading post. Both players going to do that. They want the extra XP that they generate, since Germany, of course, their civilization bonus is that they get free cavalry. Cavalry for free, I should say. In fact, 2 Uhlans for free every time they send a shipment in the Colonial Age, and that gets bigger and bigger as they progress through the ages. So that trading post, that XP, going to be very helpful. And Germany often likes to play a style that involves, getting up to the Fortress Age where their civ bonus is stronger, and they have some very powerful shipments. 9 Uhlans there, 8 skirmishers that also delivers 3 Uhlans, and as you can see, most of the cards that they have are in the Fortress Age. But SoldieR also has some industrial Age cards in here. 6 settler wagons, 13 Uhlans, as well as the Uhlans upgrade there. We'll take a look at Garja's deck in a moment, but let's sort of see what they're up to. Garja laying down a stable with his 400 wood. That costs 200, and 2 houses as well. His first shipment will be 700 wood. Okay, this is first deviation. 2 Uhlans that he gets for free, of course, going to rush across the map here. But SoldieR, on the other hand, going to start with 3 settler wagons, which is the equivalent of 6 villages. You can see the blue economy much bigger, or a bit bigger now than Garja's as a result of that. But I think Garja going to be a bit quicker with whatever he has in mind. That wood coming first here. 6 settler wagons is really valuable, and he's choosing to forego that. What do you think is on his mind there, Maito?
Well, 700 wood first basically just means that he can chop less wood in transition to colonial, which makes that first batch a little bit easier to get out.
Is he gonna hit the settler wagon? No, it does get to safety.
Looks like he's not going to get that.
I'm gonna chase that way.
Quite tanky. SoldieR sort of went for this middle trading post, which is, of course, a little bit more difficult to defend. But with this DOP start, I think he'll be able to defend it pretty easily and apply pressure to Garja's own trading post at the same time. So I kind of like this decision by him. It also means that any pushes that come through this middle part of the map here, he'll have like almost full line of sight of.
Oh, God. Oh, look at that. I love that from SoldieR. He's trying to trap. He's trying to force this engagement. He gets the snare with the cavalry. The two double Southerners going to be able to come forward now. These things, absolutely disgusting versus cavalry. They're going to tear through these Uhlans. And now Garja trying desperately to get out with the units that were not snared. A really nice trap there from SoldieR. Manages to pick up a few Uhlans here. And it looks like Garja going to try and pick up that Vil, but now on his way out. But yes, SoldieR will be starting with Doppel Southerners there, and has, as you can see up here with a couple, they're very high siege, manages to pick up that trading post, as Maito mentioned. I really like this from SoldieR, actually. Still roaming around with these cav. If he's careful, can pick up some Vils, but doesn't want to go anywhere near those Doppelsodners. 20 damage times 3 versus cavalry.
Yep, and it's gonna make this portion of the game, now that he's cleaned up some of the Uhlans from Garja, a little bit scarier for Garja. He could go for some sort of push with another batch of DOPs. He doesn't actually have another batch in queue, and 700 gold is on the floor, so he's going to be aging, but he can still push with these DOPs just fine, and I think he'll be okay to do that, and Garja will... I don't think it'll be too scary for Garja, but he's definitely in an advantage now as a result of having killed the trading post, defended his own. He's going to be aging up behind this, and he's actually found the trading post that Garja attempted to rebuild on the bottom side of the map as well. So
that is the advantage of having these super high siege units that can just tear through buildings. Gonna deny Garja that XP, and as a result, Garja's fortress age gonna be a bit slower. He's just not gonna have the same shipment curve and progression as his opponent. SoldieR making sure that there will not be any of those trading posts on the map. But the weakness of Doppelsodners is, once you get to the fortress age, they're very slow units. They're very clunky units, and skirmishers, as soon as they hit the board, have such long range. And the weakness of the Doppelsodner is that it takes a very long time to get into combat, though once it does manage to get up in your face and starts attacking, it's very strong, very high attack and stuff like that. But now that Garja's up, he's going to be able to have access to those shipments, and although they will be slower, he can train skirmishers as well, which are going to be very effective against Doppelsodners here, which SoldieR's spent quite a lot of resources on, Maito.
Yeah, for sure, but I mean, you've got to remember, without the trading posts, he's going to be behind in the shipment curve anyway, so SoldieR is just going to be naturally ahead in that regard. So I'm kind of wondering what Garja is going to be doing to try and counteract that. He kind of has to go for maybe sort of a different unit composition than normal. He actually trained 5 DOPs in transition, so I wonder if he's going to be actually making DOPs in Fortress, or if it's just sort of there to defend, or if he wants to try and go for this trading post while SoldieR doesn't have units yet.
I see. He's going to use them to get the trading post down himself and even out that game. But 3 Alans coming in from SoldieR. Does not have a Doppelsodner at home, and it looks like SoldieR will be able to pick up a settler wagon here. Is bringing back a few cav here. If he can catch these Uhlans with the cav of his own, this will be a fair trade, but it looks like SoldieR is not going to stay longer than needed. Comes in there, quickly picks up the Vil, and is now going to get out. That was a settler wagon. That's worth 2 villagers. But I do want to point out, although Garja just lost a villager there, not ideal for him. He has got steel traps in, whereas opponents SoldieR does not. So although losing 2 villages is quite bad, he has better upgrades. SoldieR not investing in that just yet, and it does look like Garja will be able to even out that trading post as well. Black Riders coming in, Maito. Here they are.
And yeah, that's a really, really strong shipment in this matchup too. When you don't tend to build a lot of skirmishers in the German mirror just because of those free Uhlans and stuff like that, So Black Riders are going to be just naturally very strong, and Garja not moving his skirmishers.
Why was he chatting? Oh no, Garja! And it looks like we're going to see those Doppelsodners.
Sad face coming out.
Oh god, he's going to have to trade these off him. His Dops don't really want to be fighting. He doesn't really want to take this engagement. The Black Rider is very weak to skirmishes, but as you were saying, you tend not to create so many. But it looks like the Black Rider timing too strong for him to hold. Why were you typing, Garja? And he loses his units there, and as a result, it's going to be so difficult to deal with these Black Riders.
Yeah, that's a really unfortunate time to use to type. The only time you type in the game is, of course, the only time where your opponent's walking Dops on top of your skirmishers is pretty awkward for sure.
That's
a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, sad
but
face. I agree.
I really liked SoldieR's build that game though. Normally on like a map, like the previous map, like Kamchatka, where the trading post is sort of inside your base and a little bit easier to defend, that type of thing is not as strong. But on a map like Baja, California, where the trading post is like very far outside of your base, those early Doppelsoldners really give you a big advantage in how you approach the game, because if you start with Ulans, then you can siege easily, you can defend even just with 1 or 2 Dops, because the Dops are absolutely insane against cavalry. Even in like very like large number differences, there's like Dops will always perform well basically. Yeah. And if your opponent also goes for Dops, then you're not at risk of getting trapped or anything or getting caught. So just seemed like a very smart plan for him.
And that was so well executed from SoldieR. That game as a whole, I really loved. You know, the intentional. Instead of going straight for treasures, he was, you know, looking around the map, preferring an engagement with his opponent. We saw that sort of early SoldieR style from the beginning there. Starting with Doppelsodners seemed very effective, as you mentioned. As you said, on Kamchatka, on maps other people might know, Great Plains, the trading post in your base, it's very easy to defend. But here, Doppelsodners actually very, very strong. And then once he got up to the next stage here, was able to get those Doppelsodners on top of the skirmisher mesh. And that's the weakness of the Doppelsodner, is whilst they approach the enemy army, but once they get there, very strong. And Black Riders as well. These cost 1,000 gold to send as a shipment, so you need to have that stockpiled. Has sent them, and here they're going to just tear through all of these Ulans. They're basically Dragoons, very strong against the cavalry there, and of course without any skirmishers to counter them, they can also just kite these other Doppelsodners all day long. SoldieR, very strong army right now, really, really well executed. I really, really enjoyed that. Let's take a quick look at that graph before we head into game number 3. But everybody, place your bets. 100 denarii has been given to everybody here. You can see that 3-settler wagon coming a bit later from Garja there. All resources gathered. As a result, blue a little bit further ahead. And we'll take a look at the military unit population here. That big spike at the end from the Black Riders, and ultimately winning SoldieR the game there. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the game of the end of game number 2. Let's take a look at the civilization selection screen. Here it is so far. SoldieR victorious with British and Germany. He can no longer play those civilizations. They are disabled to him. SoldieR will pick first, as he won the previous game, and then afterwards Garja will get the counter pick, so to speak. The map is New England. I really, really like New England. It is a wonderful map, and I expect to see some civilizations with good water options, or at least powerful boat shipments, or the ability to control the water to be played here. As you can see on the minimap, perhaps you can't see it actually, but what we do have on New England is a couple of ponds on the land, and this is a water map. So you start with a home city shipment point for water, where you can ship boats. You can see this little blue blob here, a little red blob in the water. That's where your boats will spawn, but you can change that to any body of water that you have line of sight to, including the ponds on the land. So New England has this very unique feature where warboats play this big important role in base defense, and it's like, you know, giant floating outposts that do quite a lot of damage. But who won? I'm seeing in the chat, I should say, it was SoldieR, bringing him up to 2 points to 0. But this is a best of 9. It's still early days. SoldieR selecting ports.
Yeah, and I really like this decision to pick ports here too, because they have a lot of options on this map. They can go for water, they can go for advanced trading post. The town centers will help them lock down the ponds or potentially the coastline where they can fish and stuff like that. So it definitely just seems like an all-around strong pick here. You can also wall the chokes pretty easily if you want to go for something greedy like a fast industrial. So definitely a lot available to him with this pick. And
Oh,
Garja,
baby.
this is one of Garja's favorite matchups, I think. Spain versus Portugal. Spain, not quite as versatile as Portugal in on this map, but of course they do get that tower from the age up that can help them lock down the pawns as well. They can also go for advanced trading post, and they tend to be a little bit stronger with that type of playstyle than Portugal, as a result of having the war dogs and stuff like that. So definitely seems like a good pick here.
Yeah, and lots of trading posts as well on New England, 4 of them actually. So advanced trading posts, perhaps something to consider. But back on my vanilla days, I really liked playing Spain into Portugal as well. So we will see how this pans out. Garja, by the looks of it, has selected Spain. The reason I like this matchup is because Portuguese, they sort of struggle to have a bit of an early-in economy, right? They don't have villager shipments, but in exchange for that, what they do get is the ability to age up. Well, that's their civilization bonus, a town center every time they reach the next age. So it sort of compensates for that. But as a result of not having villagers, they're sort of 10-minute, sort of 12-minute timing where you hit the fortress age and you're sort of being aggressive with a fast fortress or something fortress-orientated. They're not going to have as big of an economy, and as a result, their town centers haven't paid off enough, and Spain, very strong at that time. So I think Garja looking to abuse that fact on this map here. But SoldieR, don't count the Portuguese out. Very defensible civ with a lot of those town centers. And this is New England as well with the ponds, which is another dynamic. Looks like we were starting there. Quick cancel. I wonder what that was. Garja, I think he's thinking long and hard about his civilizations, and rightfully so, Moto.
Yeah, it could also just be checking the deck as well. Like, you really want to make sure you have warships and stuff like that in your deck on this map.
Yep. And that is what Garja was saying. The one thing he said in the previous game that allowed the Doppelsoldners to get up close to him was that he didn't like his deck very much. So makes sense to check that deck and be absolutely certain that you've got all the cards you want in here for this particular matchup here up against the Portuguese. We'll check their decks once we get into the game, but I am looking at all of the bets here. Someone betting 457 denarii, Cold Nuggets 3,000 there on the outcome that Garja wins this. So Garja, you better win. That's a lot of points there. Cold Nuggets wants his video game, and A is also betting 457. I wonder if there's any troll bets here. Someone's going to bet like 9,000 points that they don't have. But yes, 9,001 points, I might add. But I really like this dynamic here. I really like the fact that we've enabled the betting and that there's a bit of a prize. It makes it very exciting, I think. Okay, still deciding what deck he might want to bring here. What sort of cards do you think are important in against Portugal then for the Spain deck that people might not normally consider or something like that?
Well, obviously on this map you want some worship cards, but I think in general against Portugal, they're not going to be doing anything aggressive against you in colonial most of the time, and if they do, you're normally going to be fine defending it anyway, but just doing your normal sort of fast fortress stuff. So maybe you decide to throw maybe a couple more economic cards in there for the later game in the colonial age instead of maybe some unit shipments like 8 pike or something. So I don't know if you'll have a deck like that, but that's definitely an option available to you.
Something you can consider, but always important. Always before you click into the matchup, want to be just briefly checking your deck and that you've, there might be something like one flex. Like mostly the cards will stay the same, right? You're going to have sort of 23 out of 25 cards that you'll never change, but there might be something extra that you do want in. Maybe 4 vills when you wouldn't normally have it in there because you'd normally just have the 5 vills or something like that. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we do have. In this match, Garja versus SoldieR. Game number 3, the score is 2-0 in favor of SoldieR here. It is a wood start. and that means the trading posts are absolutely possible. And it looks like straight away we're seeing going across the map here, the Spanish explorer finds himself 80 XP and is going to use the starting war dog that you begin the game with to help him pick this treasure up nice and early. 80 XP going to be really solid pickup this early in the game. That XP boost going to go straight all the way up. Yeah, you can see a big jump there.
Especially for Spain, because your first shipment is so much cheaper than other civilizations. 80 XP is just such a larger percentage of that first card, and it's going to get it very, very quickly. He's going to have it around 50 seconds here, which is very early in the game, and it's going to translate into a lot of resources for him. SoldieR also chose to start this 235 coin treasure, which is a little bit risky, I think, to start.
Oh, I see, with the pirate treasure.
Garja going to come in here and potentially spot that that's been started. We'll be able to contest that maybe. And this is a treasure that just takes a really long time to take, but also going for 2 war dogs, and Garja's here to contest this as well. And SoldieR's like, no, don't do this.
Yeah, he's just going to reset the Guardians. He doesn't want to have any kind of... he doesn't want a treasure contention. He's just going to leave the Guardians as they are and come back to them later if Garja's in the area. But I really like this. Garja actually electing to not go with the early trading post, and instead is just going to be aggressive on the map with the units there.
Well, he's actually chopping... what are we restarting for? Okay.
I see.
Garja is actually chopping wood for that trading post. He just decided to drop the house first, and then check the opponent's side of the map for the treasures. You know, because he got that early 80 XP, if you went for the trading post first, it would be a little bit difficult for him to send 3 villagers as soon as he got it, as well as get the house up on time. And it was only like 200 food crates, so it would also be a little bit hard to maintain villager production. So he is going to be getting the trading post. It's going to be a little bit later than normal.
Yeah, okay.
Which is totally fine.
But it's worked out so brilliantly, right? He's just, with the War Dog, able to be so aggressive here. And Portuguese, they only have the 1 Explorer unit. And, you know, we're seeing both players' line of sights. So all of this is scouted by Garja and his War Dog. But here, SoldieR just, you know, baked into his base. He was going for this pirate treasure. He's been crack-shotting one of the Guardians. We'll come back to it later. And then he went off for these War Dogs here, which might help him get the pirates. But certainly, having extra War Dogs really, really nice. But he's basically got no line of sight. He's not really left his base and doesn't really know what's going on. And Garja here just being very careful with these units.
Starting this treasure now as well.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to be able to get that.
Get it pretty easily.
Yeah, and SoldieR not going to be able to go into hand combat there because these 2 War Dogs that are popping out and the 1 already, he's going to have to retreat back home. Pardon me, go ahead, Maito.
Yeah, this puts a lot of pressure on, too. It means that SoldieR is not going to be able to go for any trading posts or anything like that. He also has to keep a really close eye on this 235 coin that he started, because there's no way that he can take it himself. The pirates are just way too strong for him to fight. You have to use crack shots on that unless you have the dogs. So Garja could actually fight this treasure with his dogs and potentially steal it or something like that, or force SoldieR to have to
Oh, I love this. I love this, Maito. He's going back to build a trading post, which he absolutely needs as Spain, but he's going to keep a War Dog nearby just to prevent him going for this 235 coin treasure. Just wants to stick around with the War Dogs. He's going to scout the back of the base. He can see when these Guardians go into combat, they will start attacking. He can see that through the fog of war, and the War Dog can head its way back there. But yes, ATP has been sent, the advanced trading post shipment that decreases the cost of trading posts by 40% and also gives them a ranged attack and 50% extra hit points or something like this. These are now basically outposts, and they have a lot of hit points here. He's going to use this villager to quickly get one up, and this explorer now going to come and build this trading post as well. And this is going to be uncontestable from SoldieR because he has not got enough, early sort of treasure guardian sort of military units, so to speak, to do that. It looks like he might get his 235 coin treasure, but with so many war dogs that Garja managed to find in the starting one as well, this trade route is absolutely his.
Yeah, and before we get too far into this game, it is nice that SoldieR is going to get this 235 coin, although I don't think Garja will be too unhappy about that when he gets the whole trade line behind it. Just take a look at Garja's deck, though. He's got everything he needs for a longer game. He's got the advanced arsenal card in there. He's got the warship upgrades and warships themselves. He's got Spanish gold and stuff like that. So he's definitely set up for this matchup. And yeah, definitely going to be happy to go into even a longer game.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see
stuff as well.
I'm really
and gonna
excited to
be
see
aging up
what
with
his
that outpost.
decision will be with the Spanish golds. You know, for those that don't know, this is a change on ESOC patch to give Spain a few extra options in the sort of later game. They can be a bit more economically focused. Looks like 500 food, a war dog fighting the villager. What's down, Maito?
Well, just 500 food instead of the 400 wood age up just means
Oh,
that we're definitely going to be seeing a straight fast fortress out of SoldieR. No military units going to be going down. He
I
is
see.
dropping a barracks right now, but I imagine that he's not going to be training any units from that until he's up to fortress. 700 gold coming down now as well. So yeah, he's going to be going up very, very quickly here. And putting down that town center right in the middle of this choke point here. You're going to lock down the pond a little bit, also give him some vision of any units that come through here.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, I think Garja's in a great position though.
Yeah, Garja, he's got the whole route now. I'm sure we're going to see Stagecoach come in at any moment, and he'll have a ton of extra economy. Once these are upgraded, they're worth about 4 villages each, and that's going to be a brilliant bonus to the Spanish economy. But Garja now looks like macroing to go up to the next age here, has got his coin crates on the floor there, and is going to use that to get the fortress age in queue. He's going to be a little bit delayed, or at least slower than SoldieR, since SoldieR here, he's saved all of his shipments up. SoldieR, the Portuguese player, does not have access to villager shipments, so he skipped that in the first age and is instead just sent 2 crate shipments. But Garja going to follow him up, not too far behind. But what we see in the pond, the flag that I mentioned, this is the default position right on the water. But SoldieR going to move his flag into the pond, and that signals to us that he fully intends to ship a boat into that pond, which is going to be really effective at defending. And building walls on the choke as well. I really like this from SoldieR.
Yeah, these walls are going to be really nice for him here if Garja chooses to do anything like 8 pike or anything like that. And SoldieR's going to be up quite a bit earlier as well compared to Spain in this game, because Spain had to invest a lot of wood and villager seconds into building those trading posts in transition. So his age up's a little bit delayed as a result of that. And this he's aging with the Admiral of the Ocean Sea now, SoldieR is, and this caravel could potentially do a lot of damage to this outpost early on or something like that. You have to be a little bit careful, though.
Okay, so not going to ship a warboat. Instead, gets one for free with his age up. So that's going to go up with the 400 wood and caravel politician. Also now walling this off and going to use that natural wall there as well that spawns on New England. I really like this from SoldieR. Just going to wall in his base, make it nice and defendable. He'll have a caravel on the ocean here, which he can use to garrison up to 50 units in and sort of move them around very quickly. But Garja is prepared for this. You can see a forward outpost next to this pond here, and outpost insanely good against the warships there. But let's take a look at SoldieR. He is now up to the next age here, and he's got a considerable amount of coin and not really any other resources. Let's take a look at his deck there. 4 Mamelukes is available, and I wonder if he intends to open with it. That's a really interesting decision, perhaps. We'll see how that goes. Certainly a lot of coin there. What do you think?
I don't think it'll be Mamelukes against Spain. He's actually building an artillery foundry now, so
it makes a lot of sense.
Organ guns or something instead, which is actually really, really nice with this caravel, because you can actually just sit those artillery pieces like on the edge of the shore here and sort of like pop them in and out of the boats.
Yeah.
To try and like siege down these trading posts and stuff like that. So it seems like a really, really good unit composition for him to start this. Like these trading posts are definitely not going to be easy to defend until Garja has artillery of his own, maybe. And I don't know, even then might be not so easy. So I like this decision from SoldieR for sure. And 1,000 food coming out as his first shipment just can help him continuously produce villagers and stuff like that.
Yeah, 3 town centers is a lot of town centers to maintain villager production from, so 1,000 food definitely going to be very helpful here. But Garja, he knows Portuguese can be on the water, so his caravel is going to stay on the main island here and sort of lock down any docks that could be placed. So that boat going to be very helpful, and that's his age-up politician as well. But Garja, whoa, 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 I hear lots of bangs. Okay, so it looks like the organ guns have been created, just 2 of them, and going to use them to deal with this outpost here.
Yep, and 1,000 wood coming from Garja behind this, so being very, very greedy here. Probably going to be dropping down a second town center. Yep, there we go, right at the top side of the map. Secure himself some gold mines and hunts and stuff like that, and lock down a little bit of vision on the top side as well in case there's any raids that come through this path.
Oh dear, those skirms pathing into the caravel. This is not ideal. Gonna lose that first batch, and I think now Garja obviously doesn't. Oh, gets all of them, but he wouldn't have known that the caravel was there. But that is not going to be ideal for him, losing those first 5 military. Thankfully, though, for Garja, his strategy is clearly more economic and macro orientated. He wants to go into the longer game, so losing 5 early units is, say, not as important if he was playing that much more sort of aggressive Spain style, where the units are much more expensive, because you know you're not going to have as strong of an economy. But yes, Garja going for the full greed style here. Went with 5 villages during transition by the looks of it, 1,000 wood to get that early town center down, and is sent Spanish gold on top of it. So I mentioned this card earlier, but we got distracted by that boat placement. What this does is it gives you 400 gold, just 400, right, which is not very good compared to other Fortress Age shipments. But going forward, every new shipment he sends, every single shipment will also deliver 400 extra gold with it. So this is like a sort of an investment going forward. He'll have lots of extra resources. So Spain looking to play a very economic focus, and with this trade route secured, I think he's in a good position to do that.
Yeah, and I really like the decision to send Spanish gold as well, just because New England is kind of a low gold map. There's only 4 mines per side, so you only get 8,000 gold in total on your side of the map, which is a little bit lower than most maps in AoE 3, and the Spanish gold will basically lengthen the lifespan of those gold mines, make it a little bit easier for him to invest into gold-heavy units like artillery, which he's training now from this artillery foundry. And yeah, it just seems like a pretty solid card for this matchup in general as well. And looks like the caravel now denying some boats.
Yeah, there's only one boat in there.
No schooners or anything for SoldieR, though, so
no,
not the biggest deal in the world.
I like the decision to make the dock, though, get some extra economy going. But this dock, not very high anti-ship damage, because there's only one boat garrisoned in there. And this caravel should be able to do quite well against the dock. But pushing forwards now, we see musketeers coming forward. The caravels, or pardon me, the organ guns.
He's trying to get a shipping point in the pond there. That's why he's pushing forward.
Oh, I see. Lovely.
So there's going to be potentially a frigate or 3 caravels or something popping out into this pond, and that's going to give him a lot of freedom of movement over the middle of the map here with warships.
Looks like though these 2
pond.
cannons coming in, the falconets, looks like they're going to get a snipe on the organ guns. This is not good for SoldieR. He's not paying attention. One shot does come off, does not get the second. Now going to pull those organ guns back. It looks like musketeers, no, okay. And the 3 caravels have spawned, but the falconets spot them, trying to use the broadside attack on the cannons to take them out there. Does manage to pick up the first cannon, second broadside. I think they're just out of range. Those caravels can't get that final shot. Organ guns and musketeers very close to the cannon here. Does take out the artillery, and a really nice use.
On the caravels,
brilliant! Yes, and now they don't have the broadside attack. They've used their special ability up, and now they're going to be very vulnerable to the artillery here. This lost the 2 cannons, but thankfully had 2 more in production, and now is going to be able to try and contest this pond. Going to move those cannons up towards the caravels. They have nowhere to go until their bonus, until their special attack, their ultimate, so to speak, recharges. They're not going to be much of a threat to these falconets, but once the broadside, they can fire all their cannons at once. They can take out artillery quite quickly. But this shipment from SoldieR, it seemed very strong. It looks like these cannons are actually going to take down the 3 caravel shipment quite quickly.
Yeah, definitely coming out ahead there for Garja. However, SoldieR actually has both a frigate and 3 caravels in his deck, so he can still get control of this pond. But frigate for Garja instead going to be coming out here, which will help him deal with these trading posts and any army that tries to push through here, and of course give him some of that freedom of movement as he can use it to sort of transport his units around and maybe keep cannons safe and stuff like that.
Going to use the frigate to take back control of the trade route. SoldieR did a good job of pushing onto the trade route and taking it for himself. It is upgraded to stagecoach here, but this frigate, I think in range of certainly this trading post, potentially the other one there, but looks like we have an engagement in the middle here. Lots of veteran musketeers. The Roselleros don't want to be engaged, but I think SoldieR will be fine. He's got a reasonable skirmisher mash, and to boot 2 falconets, but looks like SoldieR in the back there with his foundry has elected to train 2 culverins, and culverins very very powerful against artillery. That's what they're good at, and also boats as well. So these culverins going to be instrumental in countering the artillery. Does manage to pick off a falconet in the back there. No, Garja, don't pull it forwards. He's going to pull up the rods, and the skirmish is focusing down that culverin there as well. The rods, looks like they managed to take one, but now want to leave, but taking lots of shots on the back foot there. Killing off those culverins is really important to Garja because he wants to keep this frigate at full capacity in the pond, and the culverin has very strong line of sight and range, so we'll be able to take that without it being targeted back. But I think the Portuguese player coming out on top manages to take down those two falconets here, but still a very even game in the middle of the map here.
Yeah, that was kind of a weird decision to bring the falconets up with no counter to the culverins. He was sort of trying to kill them with the skirmishers, but of course they have really high ranged resistance, so that wasn't quite going to work. And kind of ends up taking a poor trade there as a result. And I've got to say, SoldieR's looking pretty good in this game now, with these two docks established on the side, one outpost there to help lock down the coastline a little bit if Garja chooses to make any more warships. And he's got he's running a little bit low on gold mines. He's got one on the side here that he's gathering from, one in the back of his base that I'm not sure he's scouted, dropping an outpost on the one that's close to the teepee line, but it's a little bit exposed. So the gold might be sort of a determining factor moving forward in this game here.
Looks like SoldieR might run out of gold, and of course we know the Spanish player, all he has to do is sort of hold on. He's got Spanish gold. He's going to have lots more gold in the long run. But Portuguese, they do have access to the water. There are whales, which are an infinite source of coin, though only 4 units can gather. So that might be the late game coin source for SoldieR, but he certainly doesn't want to be transitioning to plantations. They're so expensive to create, and that is going to be really, really tough for him. And also SoldieR, he has access, Garja has access to this trade route, which is going to give him lots of coin income as well. But you can see that the economic unit population here really ramping up quickly for SoldieR. He has 3 town centers and these 2 docks now spawning fishing boats as well. Mind you, Garja has constructed 2 extra town centers as well, so has 3 in total, but doesn't have those docks down just yet. Has, however, re-established control of the trade route. Looks like trying to juggle that culverin into the boat, and then the cowrail will take it to safety. However, yeah, looks like Garja has plenty of map control here. The score's very, very even. I'm really interested to see how this pans out. It seems quite even economically. Obviously, Portuguese slightly ahead because of the docks, but Spanish gold is active, and these trade posts are really strong.
Can't forget about Spanish gold or the trading posts. So the economy is definitely very even here. And these villagers a little bit exposed up here. They are going to be making a little bit of a run for it, or at least a few of them are. Well, come to think of it, now that SoldieR sort of established himself in the water, he can also choose to use this gold mine on the island at some point. So that's definitely a nice advantage from having those 2 docks, especially in that location right next to that gold mine.
Oh, the culverin going to get picked off by this forward skirms. It's trying to take down the boat and it's done a lot of damage to it, about nearly half its health, but the culverin now being traded off. Garja also making 1 culverin of his own, which he's going to use in the back of his army to be very effective against artillery. But back home in the foundry of SoldieR, there is a culverin in production as well. Looks like we might see a fight here. Culverin setting up, falconets. The caravel blasted to oblivion from the offshore cannons, and now just parking outside the water here, and will be destroying this town center. Just going to force him to do something, stand on top of his artillery, protect them, and just use the siege to knock on SoldieR's door, so to speak. But Garja, SoldieR does have an answer. 2 culverins have been created, and this is what he needs to deal with the artillery here. Looks like some skirmishes coming forward. They're going to spot the artillery. Will he move the cannons back? No, 1 volley does go onto that cannon. Has a culverin of his own in the back. Looks like it's trying to get into position. Looks like cavalry now coming forward. Veteran hussars trying to get on top of the skirmishers. Rodelleros coming into position to force the cavalry array. They don't want to get too in range of the musketeers, though. Cavalry now coming back. They want to get on top of the skirmishers. Looks like he is going to retreat towards the boat, though. This is ideal. He can get inside the boat. Rodelleros coming forward, now forcing the cavalry away. Musketeers getting shots on the rods. Looks like, though, SoldieR does not want to push that engagement any further. Looks like he's had enough of that.
This is looking like a pretty good situation for Garja, and the culverin's a little bit out of position. 1 might go down to these skirm volleys. That's going to be nice for him, especially with these falconets in the back, and going to be trading off with that culverin. So this is looking really, really good for Garja now with those culverins down and these falconets still up. And again, the gold situation for SoldieR not looking super great at the moment.
Yeah, just one mine.
Yeah, I don't think he's scouted that mine in the back of his base. He hasn't touched it just yet, but maybe he'll scout it soon as those villagers gather the last of that hunt. And he does still have the gold mine on the island. Potentially could also switch to whales a little bit at some point. But yeah, it's not the best situation for him at the moment. Dropping 2 more Raxes behind this as well, so he's kind of realized that cavalry not going to be super effective here with these upgraded Redoleros and the frigate that the skirms can sort of fall back to and garrison it if they really need to. And 1 frigate coming out for SoldieR just picking off the culverin right away.
Broadside right away.
Really careful about these falconets, though.
That broadside on that idle culverin was really, really nice. I think it was just parked there waiting for a boat to spawn, but SoldieR on point hits the broadside before he even gets a moment here. This is such a scrappy game. As soon as Garja moves away from this position, SoldieR now comes out to try and deal some damage versus the trading post here. Looks like we've got 3 more culverins, 4 falconets for Garja.
Yeah, that's a lot of artillery for Garja. There's culverins in queue for SoldieR as well, but I don't know if he's going to make enough culverins to deal with 3 of them. And these culverins as well going to have a lot of range, do a lot of damage to that frigate in the pond as well, so that frigate can't really do much at the moment with all this artillery on the field.
Yeah, and it looks like the veteran skirmishers now have counter-infantry rifling in from the arsenal as well, so they can now, instead of ×2, do ×3 versus heavy infantry, such as musketeers here, which is not ideal for SoldieR since his army is made up of a lot of musketeers. But 3 culverins pushing forwards here. It looks like they do get a shot on those falconets. They're now trying to get all the artillery back. The culverins of his own in position does manage to take 1 shot here. Oh my goodness! Takes out 2 culverins there. And now is slightly lower on the culverin fire. Does get 1 final blow off and does take down half the health. Now having to come back in with these artillery.
Yeah, this is actually some really, really good trades with these culverins for SoldieR. Only 3 falconets left. But getting very low, those culverins are. Okay, 1 goes down, but both go down, but not before taking out most of the cannons in a really, really good trade for him. However, he doesn't have a lot of military left behind this now that the culverins are down, and the Rodoleros just in cover mode, tanking a lot of extra damage.
Yeah, they're basically sponges at this point. They're taking, with that cover mode, they're rebuilding the trading post in the back. Really nice from Garja. He was the culverin fight. I thought he was going to lose, but decided to bring his falcons in anyway and used his falconets to take down those culverins. Some really nice decision from Garja and executed well. But we do see 5 organ guns popping out for SoldieR. This is what he needs to deal with infantry here, and it looks like SoldieR has seen them. Garja has seen them rather, and is intending to fully get out of it. Broadside. Can he take out the falconets? Does take out 1. Move it, Garja! Move the Falk! Okay, it does move. Falk now coming back there. Looks like he will be safe, retreating towards his boat, but a really, really scrappy game in the middle of the map. And I think now the coin is about to run out. It looks like there is not much coin left on this map. Let's take a look at this engagement, though. Coming forward with artillery. Can he get the rods in position? Does take out the Falcon and is now intending to get out of there. Broadside from the frigate. Don't think the frigate will want to stay much longer near all these organ guns. Gonna retreat behind his walls. Let's take a look on the map before this really gets too intense. Where are the gold mines? Garja fully transitioned now to 4 mills, a plantation there, still gathering a bit of wood, and we can see the plantation transition and a lot of ills on wood here, so production for both players going to slow down, especially SoldieR, who has a considerable number of his villagers tasked to wood. So army for him is going to be hard to replace until that transition switch is done. For SoldieR, though, Garja rather, sorry, I keep getting these names muddled up. Garja has fully gotten his mills and is probably able to resume military production very, very soon.
Yeah, although behind this, SoldieR's aging up to the industrial age. And once he sends those factories, it's going to give him quite a large economic advantage, especially as he starts to clean out these trading posts and build trading posts of his own. And yeah, getting out culverins to deal with these organ guns is going to be a little bit awkward for Garja, as those gold mines have run out for him. And Soldier, of course,
bringing the rods in.
the
Hand combat versus the organ guns. I love this play. This is brilliant. Normally, you don't want to do that at all, but against these organ guns, the Rodellero is going to clean them up very quickly in hand combat. Did trade off a lot of organs, a lot of rods for it, but oh god, that was brilliant. Now back in the game, doesn't have to be afraid anymore.
Yeah, he has the 3 falconets of his own, so going to be able to take out this TP and start applying pressure again. And so far, this has just been whoever has the more artillery sort of has the advantage in this one little choke point here. Some walls going down on the top side as well for both players, just to make sure that there's no raids that can divert their attention away from this middle, or I guess it's not exactly the middle of the map, but from this right side of the map.
I'm not certain what you're looking at. Will you flare? I thought so. Right. Oh, I see. Just going to clean that up. He doesn't want in this late game just, random cav just coming through the back and standing on top of his woodvilles and his mills and stuff like that. But SoldieR now in the industrial age, aging with the Tycoon, which will give him 1,000 coin, and manages to get the covered wagon shipment as covered wagon shipment. You get one for free. So the 4th town center going to be going down for the Portuguese player. Going to pop it on the coast, and that is going to give him considerable anti-ship damage to handle any boats that might appear on the main ocean here. But looks like 2 caravels coming in. Looks like Garja ran out of shipments to send in the Fortress Age, so is going back to Colonial Age shipments, and is going to use these to try and tidy up the ocean a bit. Force these boats away, and maybe force SoldieR to spend some of his wooden coin on boats in this main portion here to defend his fishing ships. But looks like back on the land, SoldieR now pushing out. He's got 3 culverins there, a fairly large skirmisher mash, and now getting his guard upgrades in. Guard Cazador coming in. Culverin Royale coming in as well. A dock now going up from Garja on the ocean, and Garja also has the Industrial Age in queue, going up with the Engineer. The Spanish do not have access to the Tycoon Politician. The Engineer will grant him 2 falconets upon aging. Gonna push forward now, Maito, sieging these forward Rexes.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is still looking good for SoldieR behind this. It feels like his economy is just slightly better with these fishing boats, and soon to be those factories that he's getting a little bit sooner. And yeah, Garja a little bit on the back foot at the moment. Potentially heavy cannons could come for SoldieR at some point as well, whereas Garja doesn't have access to those. That'll probably be SoldieR's next shipment. Still a couple minutes off from that, but cleaning up the buildings in the middle of the map here, gonna be nice for SoldieR. Got a lot of control over this now, and it looks like he trained some caravels of his own as well, so he's totally fine on the water.
Yeah, he's cleaned that up quite nicely now. Looks like we have wow, the Guard Rodellero upgrade coming in from Spain here. Don't usually see Guard Rodelleros, but he's got quite a lot of upgrades on them. Frigate is safe for the time being.
It got some damage down on those culverins, which might be important in a moment here. But was a little bit precarious for that frigate. Another artillery foundry went down somewhere for Garja, I think. Or maybe that's another artillery foundry for SoldieR, I'm not sure. I saw one in queue for someone.
Guard Espada coming in here versus... Oh no, he's trying to get the Falcons in position, but the Culverins in the back able to deal with them just as they're setting up, and all these expensive artillery going down. These are Culverin Royale now, which have a considerable more stats, and that is not a good-looking fight for Garja here. Bringing those rods back to deal with the cavalry, but there's a lot of hussars there.
Yeah, that seemed like a really sort of desperate trade for Garja, bringing the Falconets in range of those Culverins. And, I mean, it didn't turn out terribly for him. Like, his army didn't get totally decimated, but didn't feel great either. So, SoldieR able to continue pushing off the back of that fight. Going to be taking down these military buildings anyway. Garja, of course, rebuilt his stables and racks at home, and church actually going down in the back of his base as well. I wonder if that's just to get the... I don't remember what the upgrade's called. The faster infantry upgrade.
Standing army.
Right, that's what it's called, yeah. As he
Oh,
is
nice
going for
pop.
most of the
Rodellero
infantry
pop there.
army.
Does get the snare on these Hussars there. A bigger skirm mass as well, but these Rodelleros, they are moving back towards the artillery, the organ guns setting up, and this is good for SoldieR. Although the Rod's very strong against the cavalry, they're just going to get mown down very quickly from all of this artillery, and the Rods... this is tough. Continuing to commit to Rodelleros as your anti-cavalry in the super late game is just not ideal, right? You want those dragoons, but Rod's so effective against the Hussars. But now that we have such big economies and we can have artillery in the back lines, infantry such as Rodelleros just not ideal.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know what that mistake is, but sounds unfortunate. Yeah, this is looking like an awkward position for Garja for sure. Some of these organ guns sort of stepping a little bit too far forward, though, going to be picked off by the frigate, potentially. It's going to be nice for Garja.
Looks like some lancers have come out. They are only veteran lancers, though, up against the guard hussars, so this is really not ideal. But there are Rodelleros mixed in there as well, trying to get those lancers forward on top of the Cazadors here. They do 20 damage times 3 versus infantry, but the numbers really dwindling away now, and SoldieR has shipped 2 heavy cannons from his home city, pardon me, and also has Gunner's Quadrant enabled as well, which is extra range and line of sight on artillery pieces here. These, I think, heavy cannons will be the final blow to Garja. He really needs an answer to these buildings and to these units. They are very, very powerful. 400, nearly 500 HP on an artillery unit there. Let's take a look. I think SoldieR, he has both his factories set up. They're both tasked to coin here, worth about 10 villages each. And with those fishing ships and the 2 factories, he's really pulled ahead now in terms of economy, 133 villages. And now SoldieR, I think, in a commanding position. He's gained control of the forward position on the map. He can take the upgraded trader out if he so chooses. And has now, I really like this decision, Maito, to add in the native villages.
Yeah, it's got a really good upgrade for his fishing boats as well. I think it's 20 or 30% onto his whaling and fishing. That's a really nice boost to his economy as well. And he could also use it to sort of overpop his army. There's sort of a big button upgrade at these Huron settlements that let you get like 15 Huron matlets for like however much it is, which is a really nice tech in the game, especially when you're at max population. This frigate sort of stepping forward, trying to get some volleys on the heavy cannons, sort of sacrificing itself.
Yeah, but actually, Lancers do find them. Yeah, the frigate lives, and he finds himself on top of the heavy cannons. The Espada managed to take one down. I think the Lancers focusing the other will take these heavy cannons out, but whilst he's targeting them, taking damage from all of these other units here. But this fight looks like it's going okay for Garja. He's got all of his upgrades in. He's taking it a commanding lead, dealt with the heavy cannons very nicely, and is now in a solid position again.
Yeah, that seemed like a really good trade for him. And SoldieR, his army is not looking super great. He's finally sort of transitioned into dragoons a little bit here. He's got his upgrades for them, and that's sort of going to be Portugal's like staple unit in the late game, right? The Jeanette Dragoon with the extra range and all the upgrades. And so that's going to help him a little bit in these fights. Until now, he's sort of been going for this sort of suboptimal unit composition, I feel like. That's sort of been giving Garja chances in these fights. But definitely now with the goons on the field might be a little bit easier for him.
Yeah, Goon's very solid, but
really
looks like
the Huron mallets in here as
exactly. These are essentially, they're sort of like grenadiers. You don't usually see the native post, especially Hurons, until the late game where you have 200 population out of 200, and then suddenly these units, they don't cost any population, but there is a build limit. You can only make, I think, 12 Huron manlets unless you research the tech here, which Huron manlet changes build limit by 200%, and these are just going to be a right thorn in Garja's side as these Huron mantlets, on top of his 200 population. He's now got these as well. Oh, he's going to try and take out the frigate there. Do they have enough range to do that? I wonder. But these very high siege, and they've walked in through the economy here, and they can start sieging down buildings.
Looks like they don't actually use their siege attack against the frigate, unfortunately. So their ranged attack is pretty pitiful against the frigate, so they're just going to be making the walk of shame through Garja's base instead of trying to fight the frigate.
The walk of shame, pulling some Rodeleros back to handle this in the back there. But there's a lot of, he used the Huron manlet big button, as you were saying. There is a tech that delivers, I think, 15 Huron mantlets now that we're at this 30 minutes into the game, which is quite a lot. So he's definitely got a lot of units here, far more than you could normally get. And this might be a really good timing. It looks like Hussars coming in, going to use the Espada to try and force those Rodeleros away. The Hussars away, but you can't get too close to the organ guns in the back, or the Rodeleros are just going to take a ton of damage. But now walking into Garja's base, he's got the benefit of the really, awkward pathing. The cavalry going to have to come around buildings, and it's going to be very hard to get the surround on the skirmishers there.
Yeah, for sure.
But ultimately, SoldieR really is starting to take a lead. He's pushed all the way back here. Broadside from the frigate, managed to take out a culverin, but is going to lose. No, he's preserved that frigate for another day, and the Rodeleros, with a big batch of 15, 20, pardon me, find themselves on top of the organ guns and are able to take this out. And once again, Garja is going to find a way to push back to the center, but can he reclaim the center? He needs to get his walls up and his forward infrastructure. Looks like we're seeing a douche TC, so to speak, from SoldieR in the base here of Garja. That's an ambitious town center, I think. But back to the center of the map here, you can see SoldieR securing his lead is the fort with the fortified outposts that he's now starting to upgrade.
Yeah, every single time it feels like Garja's in a bad position, the Rodeleros come in big time. But yeah, this town center and these two outposts gonna remove the influence of this frigate once and for all. We saw SoldieR trying to drop a dock in this pond earlier as well, so once he's sort of removed this frigate from the picture, he'll probably be adding his own warships, potentially maybe some monitors or something like that would be really obnoxious. And yeah, this is going to be a really annoying raid.
And the factory wagon, it's a factory wagon.
Right here.
Oh no.
It's a really unfortunate position to be in, and it's going to get sniped off. No, okay, SoldieR not paying enough attention. It will go up, it looks like, but will Garja be able to defend it? His units or his Rodeleros are frantically running towards that side of the map. And yeah, it looks like it will be safe for the moment.
Yeah, this is, oh god, come on Garja, can you get that? It looks like it's safe for now, but look at these units, the Hussars, the Dragoons, really being an issue, killing the villagers here, going to reduce the production. He needs to seal the gap in his wall to stop things from streaming in here, but moving those Hussars, just going to chase them around the map, right? Force these rods to follow these units, and that means this fight in the center of the map, there'll be fewer Spanish units to deal with it as they're currently chasing the raids.
Yeah, it looks like SoldieR has now gotten control over this pond. He's got caravels of his own. He's got a dock it down. He's starting to clean up the military buildings with these caravels, and this is looking like a really tricky situation for Garja. He's trying to build some outposts in front of his Raxes to try and potentially push the caravels back slowly over time. He's got some mortars as well that will help deal with stuff like that. But
mortar's going to be very effective against the buildings and the boats being constructed in this pond, but it feels like, a desperation play. It's like it's necessary to train them now to handle, what is here. But SoldieR building the boats on this pond, it's going to be really, really tough to play from this position, but is going to be able to get some these Rodeleros into position to take out these Rebolds, which are the upgraded organ guns here. The mortars trying to come in and deal with those. No, set up. I don't think that's in range of the caravel, but a monitor is trained from the dock here. This is going to be able to insta-kill one of these mortars with its special ability.
It looks like it went for the Rodeleros instead, actually, which is a little bit strange. A little bit of a mistake there. So these mortars are actually going to be able to push back SoldieR on this pond here. But a big batch of Hussars coming in, probably not going to be a super big deal against the Rodeleros. But we really need to see some culverins out of Garja, it feels like, with the, continued production of the organ guns here. He's just... God. He does keep winning these fights, but it feels like he's not winning them as cost effectively as he could be.
What, the SoldieR?
Yeah, Garja, sorry.
Garja. This isn't ideal, though. Now finds a bunch of guard Hussars standing on top of his skirmishers here, and the Rodella is a little bit out of possession. Lag is insane now. Do you want to... Should we pause? Do you want to screen share?
We could do that.
Perhaps.
You want to try that?
We'll wait for this fight to end.
Yeah.
Yeah, not ideal. Why mortar moving? Yeah, not pleased. Is going to take... Oh, no. He's calling GG, and I think that's a fair enough call there. He's now does tons of organ guns here, pushing him back. He's low on, if we take a look at his villager count economic units here, he is going to be missing. I can't change it because the game's ended, but we can take a look at the villager population in the post-game here. Lost some villagers due to the raids there. He's not able to get back up to 100 and whatever it is, back to 99, and Portuguese now pushing him.
Yeah, it seems like it wasn't over, though. If you look at just the resources in the bank, Garja still has a lot of resources to spend. You know, his army's, like, not bad by any means, and he's cleaned up the units in the pond here. Like, it feels like he's still in a fine position, but...
Oh, Garja, damn it.
Maybe just giving up the war of attrition or whatever. SoldieR just, like, very slowly making, like, continued progress into Garja's Garja's part of the map over the last, like, 20 minutes in this game. But a very nice game overall. I really like when we get to this point in the game, especially on New England, with, the warships and stuff, adding a sort of a different dynamic to the game than we normally see.
Yeah, that was a brilliant game. That was really exciting, and just you can see SoldieR's so prepared for this late game. He's like got his fortified outposts. He's going to be able to grab this trade route now that he's got full control. He's got the walls with the upgrades there, really looking solid, and he's now he's got that super late game advantage of having the whales and access to that. But ladies and gentlemen, that was game number. Game number 3. The score is now 3-0 to SoldieR, picking up this victory in the third game. A really long, drawn-out one. I'm really pleased we got a game like that in the series. It's a shame that Garja didn't want to continue playing that out. He did have access to, a few thousand resources in bank. They sort of just slowly, obviously accumulate, but didn't want to play the war of attrition, and that is going to be the end of the game. But I will offer to the players, if the lag starts to get a bit silly, that Maito can resign and leave the game, and then I will screen share with him on Discord to alleviate some of that lag issues. But let's switch out to the lobby and take a look at the civilization selection screen. Looks like SoldieR's civ pool is going to start running thin. He is definitely getting low on civilizations. He's one with British, Germany, and Portuguese. You can see that on the stream, Maito, if you want to take a look. SoldieR has won with the British, the Germans, and the Ports, so his civ pool getting a bit low. You can see the civilization selection screen on the stream. Okay, we're going to use screen share just to alleviate the lag for the players there. Okay, can you see? Yes, would you paste the map pool, or was it SoldieR that pasted it earlier? I think it was SoldieR. But yes, this game going forward should be less laggy with fewer people in the game room. So SoldieR from the USA, Garja from Italy, and myself from the United Kingdom, and Maito hailing from Canada. So if we take another person out of the equation on a different continent, Canada being perhaps. Hopefully this should fix the issue, but yes, the map pool is in there, and you can see it on the screen as well. Thar Desert will be our next map. SoldieR will pick his civilization first. We'll see what he selects, and then afterwards Garja will get the counter pick. SoldieR picks first because he won. SoldieR cannot play the Portuguese, he cannot play the British, and pardon me, what was the final civ? The Germans. So let's see what he elects to choose. Yeah, SoldieR's saying, okay, running out, exactly. This is where it starts to get a bit difficult in the late game. And if we switch to the lobby, SoldieR has selected France. Not an ideal civilization to pick on the Thar Desert. France, a little bit dependent on trading posts, can play without them. And, if it was on the ladder, you would hope that your opponent would also play a civ that would like trading posts, and then it's fair because neither of you get them. But I think Garja here going to fully abuse the fact that he can play a civ against this where he doesn't need to have trading posts, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm imagining Russia.
Well, I don't know if... Well, actually, I guess Garja is something of a Russian player, but I would think that he'd like to play Aztec, which is one of his staple civilizations on this map.
Oh, that's true. Very strong as well because of the fire pit, right? Lots of XP.
But what I was going to say is SoldieR is pretty comfortable with France in all situations. And even though they don't have a trading post, because you have to leave your base so early, having those CDB and being able to contribute to the fights a little bit can give you a big advantage sometimes in holding map control and stuff like that. So definitely still has some pros to the situation, despite the one con in not having the trading posts available to them. The native scout as well sort of helps them find some of those big treasures on this map. Like this map spawns with like really big wood treasures and stuff like that are really nice in the early game, and being able to find those really quickly with that native scout can give you a big advantage in the early game as well.
Yeah, I think Garja getting a little upset now. He was really hoping to win that previous matchup. But he says, I'm rusty, I don't even remember the builds. Well, that's if you want to compete in the New World Championships, you got to be very well practiced. And SoldieR has been playing a lot recently.
Yeah, Soldier's looking quite strong recently.
Yeah, SoldieR really been playing a lot, as has Kaiser Klein, as yourself, Maito. So I think you guys, going to stand a very strong chance in that New World Championships, the LAN tournament we're hosting in July. But you can see on the screen now, place your bets. Bet Garja, followed by the number of points you want to bet on him, or SoldieR. To find out how many points you have, you can use !Denarii, which is a Roman money, which we'll be using for a event to be announced for Age of Empires 2, but possibly we'll use the same currency in Age of Empires 3 as well. You will receive 100 points before every game starts, so if you don't have any points, you may well have some now. Stream Elements going crazy. Okay, so you can't bet just yet by the looks of it, or perhaps the contest has already closed. So there is that. Looks like Garja going to take the French Mirror on a map like Thar Desert.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, well, I mean, it's neither player can make the trading post, so that's fair enough. But I would expect to see a civ where you can get that matchup advantage, right? Where you'll know that the French don't have access to a trading post, and that you'll be playing a civ that doesn't really care about them.
Yeah, this is something of an interesting matchup on non-TP maps as well, because because you usually see a lot of Musk Hus on non-TP maps, whereas normally in French Mirrors, when you do have a trading post, you like to go up to Fortress, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see how that plays out.
Looks like Garja is happy to play France into this matchup then. So maybe he just doesn't intend to play France in the series. So he's going to do so now, and he thinks this is a fine time to pull out the France. France can play. I just imagine we'll see something a bit aggressive. We'll see something a bit more colonial, a bit more drawn out. Perhaps that Samwise build, right? We'll see if something, you're going to be wanting map control. You're going to want a big presence on the map, because the Thar Desert, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be game number 4. Garja currently on 0 points. SoldieR on 3. So Garja, I think, hoping to get back into this series now and to start equalizing that score up. But this map is a dark, dusty map with lots of sand dunes, harsh winds you can see. But yes, there's the food, 1 hunt in your base, and a small hunt right next to your town center to get you up to the colonial. But after that, The hunts are sort of very thick and far between. I think I'll let Maito decide if this map's okay, but there's lots of elephants on this map as well, which you can't really herd, and you have to have map control. You have to go and stand and protect the villagers on the elephants, so you're going to find your villagers sort of out in the open sort of very quickly. So this map sort of lends itself to fast, bloody aggression, lots of scrappy fighting over the map, and just trying to get those small advantages to come out on top. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, spawning in the bottom left of the map, we do have Garja. God, this map is so frustrating to play, right? Because the villagers, when they gather wood, they're so far up. There's no trees right next to your town center. You have to go and get them from the back of your base there. But is going to get those markets up for the hunting dogs upgrade. Soldiers hunting dogs just coming in now, and then I imagine Garja will get his as well. Let's put Control-Shift-F on and see what we have. Looks like Garja just staying in base, going to pick up the 40 food there. He also picked up 50 wood in the back of his base, going to get those starting treasures, make it very easy to get those market upgrades. And SoldieR, he's been out on the map so far. SoldieR,
looks like he made a mistake with his start.
Okay, we can read.
The map looks fine.
Oh, okay.
To be honest.
Well, I think one restart per series is fair enough. Okay, looks like we're going to quickly restart that matchup. Garja missing his crates on the floor there, and is wanting to just restart the end opening. You know, really on a map like this that's so aggressive, you can't be messing up your start in a big way. So SoldieR and Garja going to replay that. The standings you can see on the screen so far. SoldieR has played British, Germany, Portuguese. He's won with all of those. He cannot play them anymore. Garja still has all civilizations open to him since he's not won a game just yet, but electing to play a French mirror here on the Thar Desert. Ladies and gentlemen, let's try this again. Attempt 2.0. It will be SoldieR versus Garja in this best of 9 series. Currently SoldieR representing the USA, currently on 3. Garja from Italy on 0. Let's get into this. Will be the Thar Desert. I like this spawn a lot better, actually. I know you thought the previous one was fine, but here we are. Spawning on the bottom of the map in the color red, we do indeed have the Garja. This time, hopefully he does not miss his crates, and we will be having a good, clean start here. But 200 wood, ideal for a market or a trading post, but there are no trading posts on this map. Going to pick himself up 30 coin in base, and that's going to be really, really nice for grabbing the market start there. SoldieR up in the north of the map also gets the 200 wood. It is a mirrored crate start, of course, and will also be able to get the early market down. Nice treasures from SoldieR there. 50 wood and 20 coin, going to be ideal for hunting dogs, and Garja also getting 30 coin as well, which is going to make that 50 coin upgrade nice and easy to grab. But let's switch the Control-Shift-F on and take a look at the treasures nearby. We have 30 food, 60 food quite nearby. Both players in a position to see that. France's scout taking a look up at the top of the map. Oh, they're both France. And SoldieR's scout in the bottom trying to find all the treasures. I thought we might see a bit of a contention, but SoldieR electing to go elsewhere on the map. He has found 90 wood. That's a really nice treasure for him there. We'll see if he goes for that, but I'm not sure if SoldieR really knows where Garja is.
Sorry, I was going to say, it looks like he's actually looking for Garja's Explorer right now, with how he's not really contesting any of these big treasures or anything like that. With his native scout also sort of sneaking around the side there on the back. And I feel like he's just going to wait for... he's going to try and look for these big treasures and then sort of wait for Garja to go for them, and then he can try and contest them.
Yeah, and that's I should move this very much.
It's something he's done in the last few games in this series, so...
Yeah, and I think that's his style on ladder as well, particularly against Garja, who I know is not a fan of that. Garja would rather... I think SoldieR, just wants to be a nuisance, chase your opponent's explorer around and just sort of go in there and steal treasures from them and let them take all the damage, and then you with the superior hit points can sort of come out on top in age 1. But doing that, you risk not finding your opponents, like in this game here. And you can see Garja, well, actually, SoldieR's treasures are still quite impressive, given that he wasn't really contesting, but certainly could have been better, right? He had the opportunity to take 90 wood, but forgone that. Looks like, though, we will have a bit of age 1 contention here. Both players could lose their scouts. I think this is This will make the game interesting. Neither player will have the stealth scout later in the game. Is he going to be able to get that away? I don't think Garja will be able to escape that scout there. No.
Yeah, it looks like it's just in cover mode at the moment, just buying some time for the Explorer to deal some additional damage before it goes down. But yeah, trading off the native scouts, probably not going to be a super big deal for either player, but yeah, I'm going to make scouting a little bit more difficult, for sure. And now, yeah, both big wood treasures scouted for both players here, but neither of them really able to start it. And SoldieR just being really annoying.
Chasing Garja around the map.
Chasing around for pretty much the entire duration of this early game. It's going to really prevent Garja from going for any treasures.
Yeah, and they'll become something that's perhaps interesting later on in the game. But Garja can't take this fight now because he's just lost HP. He either has to escape from SoldieR or go back to his town center, which at the moment he's, I think, just cleaning up the rest of the map, scouting everything out, just because, you know, in this early portion, you need to get the full line of sight of the map where the resources are, and you want to do that now rather than later. So he's going to take these shots, going to take it like a man from the SoldieR Explorer there whilst he finishes off his scouting, especially since he lost the native scout and cannot do it with that. But both players now up to the colonial age. Let's take a look at their age ups. I expect quartermaster for both. Yes, 400 wood will be their politician of choice. Both players have elected to build the market, and I think both have hunting dogs as well. Yes, Gangsaw also in for SoldieR. Garja, however, is not getting Gangsaw, although has got placer mines. Has sort of 2 villages forward. They are herding, but I anticipate perhaps a forward building we will see, and likewise for SoldieR as well. But back to the Explorer fight here. Looks like SoldieR really forcing Garja's Explorer all the way home here. And, you know, the Explorer has 400 HP. That's pretty useful in the fight. But Garja not going to have that bonus. Although neither player has really done much treasuring. There are still 2 very juicy wood treasures, 90 wood and 85 wood still out there on the map for the taking. But I suppose SoldieR now with the superior hit points can just go and get them without having to worry at all. Both players...
it's definitely going to be easier for him to pick them up.
Now going to be in the colonial age, Maito.
Yep, and this is where we'll start to see exactly what their plans are. I'm anticipating sort of must-cuss, especially from Garja, just because he does have 2 forward villagers. All right, stable going down at home. It looks like it is probably going to be the Samwise start, where you start with that barracks and the racks, or barracks and the racks, barracks and the stable.
Yeah,
and get those and get that first batch of like 5 Huss and 5 Musk very, very early on. Although I don't know if he's actually got a Rex going down just yet, so might just be waiting for the 700 wood.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, going to start with cavalry indeed, but perhaps not. Okay, 700 wood going to go down. Going to add the barracks in from that, but has, let's take a look at units in queue. I imagine, yes, hussars in queue there for Garja. Looks like SoldieR going to do something similar, although he will be building the barracks in the center of the map. This is actually the Samwise build. He's going to queue a musketeer and a hussar in each building there, which he built with his 400 wood. Currently has no houses and is completely popped, but with the 700 wood shipment is going to add the houses in just before the units get to being created, and then can finish off those batches just as the houses are being constructed and fully constructed there. So we should see, I imagine, usually prioritize the hussars, so we'll see 4 or 5 hussars followed by a couple of musketeers, which is going to give Garja something to worry about. There's only 4 hussars here that he managed to get out, but SoldieR is going to have a similar number of hussars. Okay, instead actually musketeers. That's a really... Oh, he got 4? Wow, that was really nice from SoldieR, and you can see the advantage here that he will have not in addition... Oh, the snare from the Explorer! Can you get those hussars? Garja cannot take a fight, and this is the power of that early barracks, the Samwise build, so to speak. You have these extra units out, and it just means that, you know, if you take a hussar fight, you are going to win the hussar fight. So here, being very, very... Garja, I think... This is my heart's taking a beating right now. This is no, if he gets snared, I'm gonna. This is something.
Yeah, although right now this is kind of what he wants, right? Like he's sort of locking down SoldieR's units. Like SoldieR could be like pushing the front part of Garja's base with these additional military units, and instead he's just sort of chasing the hussars around. And you can see Garja's even just like leading him on. He's like, "Oh, yeah, see, I stopped."
He's just stopping deliberately.
Look at this. He's deliberately just staying in the line of sight there. He's like, "Yeah, just keep chasing me. Like you have more units than me, but that's fine because you're not going to be using them." And now he's going to be pushing the forward base with his military units on the frontier. And yeah, it's actually a pretty smart play from him. Like, there's 10 musketeers and 4 hussars being forced to chase these units while he's getting some damage down on this barracks, so
Yeah, and now
Definitely can't complain.
Yeah, he might even... I don't think he'll be able to take that out. There's 10 musketeers in queue for Garja. Okay, made 2 Raxes off that 700 wood there. So had a slower start, so to speak. Only had, a few hussars out, whereas his opponent had musketeers. But here, with the 700 wood, acts in 2 Raxes and now has a very nice musketeer advantage here and could well take this forward base away from SoldieR. This is a really nice mass. This is a really strong musketeer army here, and God, that was so nice from Garja in that early portion. 4 Carrera de Bois coming in for both players now. Steel Traps is done, certainly for Garja, and let's take a look. I am to expect for SoldieR as well. Does take out the forward barracks there, and there's not really anything SoldieR can do. He's invested quite heavily into a few extra hussars, which means he'll have fewer musketeers, and that musketeer army in his base is going to be really, really strong. Looks like, though, the hussars are going to come and do some raiding, and that's just going to shut down the Garja economy here, whilst these hussars are just a big nuisance, meaning these musketeers must now come home to defend. Is he going to get a villager kill, though? Does pick up the villager kill. 1-0, so to speak, to SoldieR there on terms of vills.
Yeah, buying him a little bit of time, and going to be hurting Garja's next batch of units a little bit with that raid. Going to get another vill, too, potentially, with those hussars, so nice from him. But yeah, losing that barracks is definitely very big. It's going to mean that Garja's going to have the musketeer advantage, although that being said, that doesn't look like he has a musketeer advantage just yet, so...
Yeah, a lot of them are at home.
Yeah, but the next batch or two, he's going to be getting more muskets for sure, unless SoldieR has rebuilt that barracks already, which I imagine he probably hasn't just yet. Yeah, and that will potentially give him a chance to contest this stable position as well.
And SoldieR looks like shipped 8 crossbowmen, which is why his mass looks a lot bigger. Still could see that shipment come in from Garja here, but he's going for 700 gold, which could allow the age up. Looks like Garja was macroing to age, but looks like he's now going to queue hussars actually with that coin instead to stay on top of this colonial. Doesn't feel like he can age just yet. If he does that, he'd be sacrificing probably these forward barracks, and just the pace of the game change too much for him. But let's take a look at the military units tab and see what they have here. 33 musketeers for Garja there, 4 hussars as well. Looks like SoldieR, a bit further behind, only 25 musks, but does have 8 crossbowmen mixed in there and a few extra hussars for the snare and soak as well. But coming in here, potentially going to get that Rax down, a few more musketeers streaming, and I don't think Garja's going to be able to take this down. The units will arrive just in time. Yeah, going to have to abandon there, but with his hussars forcing SoldieR off his hunt, they're really, really nice.
Yep, and SoldieR not paying attention to his units so much here. Garja getting some really nice picks on those units.
Oh, but at home!
But a big raid at home, yeah.
Yeah, both. Okay, does have some hussars pop out here. Could potentially call Minutemen as well. Why didn't they move? Gotcha. Oh, no.
But the hussars and the Minutemen, honestly, like, he's lost a few vills, sure, but he's still looking to be in, like, a good situation with the military. If he can be a little bit more active with it. He's still raiding with his own hussars, so he could potentially pick off some vills himself. Although, that being said...
Oh, no!
Walking into the army,
but it does distract him away.
He is going to get the stable. Yeah,
making the most out of it. Oh no! I was going to say making the most out of the mistake. He drew his opponent's units away and then can come in and finish the stable. Not the case though. Oh god, Garja was in a really solid spot, but now this is turning around a little bit here. Looks like he was trying to raid up here, but 2 hussars from SoldieR going to force him away. Military favoring SoldieR a little bit here.
Yeah, now the raids are starting to take their toll a little bit on the army count for Garja here. Gonna go back in for that stable. I think he's gonna get it this time, unless it's being repaired at the moment. No, just gonna turn and fight, get a couple free musketeer kills. But yeah, it is finally gonna go down, and gonna lose his hussars in exchange for that, but it's given him a little bit more control over the map. And he can finally think about maybe pushing onto this gold mine or onto the soldiers' hunts on the top side of the map there. Actually, Garja's aging.
Garja's aging? Oh, that's really strong, and he's basically up now, and SoldieR hasn't really been able to... It doesn't look like he's aging. The military mass is quite similar. Maybe those Minutemen being added in there are bolstering the size of the army and making it look a little bit deceptive to me. But Garja now up to the fortress age. That is going to be a really big deal. We see SoldieR going, oh crap, and now SoldieR going to push forward here. Looks like he saw the age up come in. He now needs to push, try and do some damage with the small window that he has, usually about sort of 30 seconds to do some damage before a shipment arrives, like skirmishes. But actually, Garja not having a shipment available just yet, since no trading posts on this map, is going to lose a couple more villagers. But the army is nearby and is going to force away those hussars there. But not ideal. The raiding quite strong from SoldieR. Let's switch over to units lost and see what is available there. Garja has lost. Oh, that's units in queue. Pardon me. 10 villagers. Oh my goodness.
That's a lot of dead vills.
That is a lot.
He does have a timing now while SoldieR is trying to follow him up to the Fortress Age with this 2 Falconet shipment. So he could potentially do quite a bit of damage before SoldieR has his own Falcons.
Yeah, SoldieR, like Garja really needs to win this game quickly, right? Because he's lost 10 villages. You can't play the long game. He's going to have to come in with a really strong timing, and 2 Falconet off the back of the Fortress Age, probably going to get veteran musks in there. I don't think he can afford it, actually, but would be really, really solid. Is now pushing forward with his musketeer mass. So Garja, I think, really needs to win this fight, really needs to do a lot of damage here, perhaps kill a lot of villagers. That would help, but perhaps more importantly, just have such an overwhelming military advantage, because it's going to be, 30 seconds, even longer, actually. SoldieR doesn't have a shipment ready in order to get those back home, though. The Dragoons dealing with the raids to get those Falconets to deal with these Falconets. And this, no engagement just yet, so Garja can and still does have time to get the veteran musketeer upgrade in. Looks like, though, these Dragoons at home are chasing these hussars around the map. That's a lot of goons to commit to. Only 5 hussars there, but it is what it is. Looks like he's pushing forward, sieging with the musketeers. He knows he doesn't have to stand on top of the Falconets, right? He killed that stable earlier. There's no cav shipments or anything like that. There might be very soon, since SoldieR can ship them in the Fortress Age, but more likely to be Falconet, so is comfortable to siege with the musketeers at the same time. Still looking for those hussars, but I think he's given up on the chase. They're wedged right into the side here, but he knows the fight is about to happen. He must have those Dragoons in the fight, so now bringing them forward. Looks like SoldieR is getting ready to pop. Looks like, I think, a shipment will be arriving very soon. 8 skirmishes coming for Garja here, going to bring them forward.
Yeah, and SoldieR is still waiting for that shipment.
Yeah, and with the Falconets now in range of the town center, if the Falcs pop, these cannons might be in range to deal with that, right? So if he can get... There they are, 2 Falconets coming for SoldieR. They are safe. They are going to get set up. Looks like they're going to get a volley on the musks here. He sees the Falcs, though. This is all about the Falconet control here. It's really important. Whoever comes out on top of the Falc fight will be in a solid spot. It looks like... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it looks like Garja is going to have to back off here, though. Raid's still running him ragged. Can't afford to commit his Dragoons to the fight. So he's going to have to back off. He did quite a bit of damage with the Falconets, though. He killed 3 or 4 houses and the market. And
here we go. No! Oh my goodness! Takes out the Falconet! That's really solid from SoldieR. And then gets the other one as well. Coming out on top in the Falc lead. You have to be so careful. And now he really doesn't have the dunes. Oh, yeah, well, that's a thing, isn't it, on Thar Desert? But, oh dear, now with, that economic loss from the raids, and now he doesn't have the military advantage here, it looks like Garja is going to find it very difficult to come out on top.
Yeah, and this has kind of been the story of the series so far. Like, in almost every single game, like, SoldieR is winning off of the back of his artillery control, it feels like. Garja always taking slightly, like, suboptimal trades against SoldieR's artillery, and it's putting him, like... But
he could look at this though. Goons coming in. Could pick up these. He could certainly pick up one. Does pick up one. Is he going to get the second? He might lose a few Dragoons for it, but I think he is going to get that second Falconet here. But if we take a look at the military unit population, there's still a considerable more number of units for Garja. But Garja now back in this, potentially. He's dealt with the cannons, didn't lose too much for it. SoldieR's still in a solid position with more military units and more economic units, but it could be evened up a bit of a raid here. Let's take a look at units lost again. 2 more villages there. Garja lost 15 vills. Those raids...
He's still getting raided back up.
Still running him ragged. Can we see some ESOC Gs in the chat? No sound, apparently. But he did manage to deal with the Falconets. But SoldieR's still in a good position, but not an overwhelmingly position.
Yeah, I mean, picking off those Falconets was exactly what he needed to stay in the game. But at this point... Like, what does he have a win condition? It feels like it's going to be a very difficult situation for him to win from those a couple of Hussars still alive for SoldieR, really keeping the raiding presence up. Like if this was only Dragoons, those raids wouldn't be as big of a threat with the 40% melee or range resistance on those CDB and the reduction against villagers that Dragoons have. But those Hussars still being annoying enough that Garja has to respect it. And unfortunately for him, he's lost a lot of vills to it. There's a lot of exposed villagers for SoldieR, though, on this western side of the map that could potentially give Garja an opportunity. Going to force them off of that gold mine that's going to give him a lot of idle time.
I think Garja has to take this fight, right? He's 10 vills down. He has to come out ahead here, but he just can't. Like, something has to give. He has to kill villagers, and it just doesn't seem like this is going to be
a very challenging situation for sure.
This has to be the decisive fight, I think. He just can't take the fight. There's too many units, but he has to because he's behind in economy. He has to take a fight and win it. But oh, hello. Let's move that back up here again.
Yeah, and SoldieR just with the overwhelming military at this point, almost twice as many units. Going to be pushing onto the gold mine here, forcing Garja to fight. And yeah, that's going to be
all she wrote.
Game.
Yeah, losing up the story.
That just all comes down to the raids and the falconets.
Yeah, a lot of vills lost there. If we take a look at that villager timeline, you really have to be careful on this map, and it's partly why it was picked, right? Like it's just you can't be everywhere, and you want to be really aggressive because it's such a small map, and you want the map control, but you do need to push in such a way that you can defend against raids. I think France actually a pretty good civ for this map now that I think about it. Yes, they want the trading post, but you have really strong villagers, right? And they can sort of move around with your army. You can gather where your army is, and as a result of that, like the villagers will just be helpful fighting, and because they, French vills have lots of extra stats and stuff like that. But yeah, just a lot of vills being lost by Garja in that early portion, and you can see it just translates in the late game to considerably fewer units. And the Falconet fight, if he'd come up on top of the Falc fight, could have been in a solid position despite the raids. But looks like SoldieR really did really nice artillery control, took out Garja's Falconets. Thankfully, Garja did manage to deal with them with his Dragoons, but SoldieR still had all the raiding done earlier, and I'm trying to look for a villager count just to show that. You see lots of vills here, lots of vills here, and by the end of the game, SoldieR is, if we take a look at all resources gathered, up to nearly 25,000 resources, and Garja sitting on 20,500-ish. So, and you think how many military units that gap really is at the end of the game, but that means the score is now 4-0 to Garja, and it is now match point, and I'm really hoping... Yes, I mean SoldieR. Looks like SoldieR picking up 4 victories in a row. It's match point. For Garja's sake, I really hope he can take a game off SoldieR just so it's not the 5-0 sweep. But I think this is a big moment for SoldieR. These two players, this is a bit of a grudge match for them, which is why I think it's happening. But if SoldieR can pick up the 5-0, I think that's I don't know if Garja will hear the end of it. So Garja here, I think... he is really going to be pushing for that for that victory, and maybe he can get back in the series, perhaps win a couple in a row. But when you're that far behind in a best of 9 series, you're going to have those nerves. You're going to have that perhaps demotivation. It's a lot to say to come back from. SoldieR could drop a couple of games, and he still only has to take one to win this series. But the next map will be Deccan. SoldieR just won with France. He can no longer play France or British, Germany, or Portuguese, as you can see, is electing to play Japan. Let's switch into the lobby.
And this is definitely something that SoldieR is not super comfortable with, for sure. As you can see, Garja's already saying it's a little bit weird. SoldieR's sort of 3 main civs. They're Brit, German, and French. And so at this point, with those all gone... he's got to start picking a little bit outside of his comfort zone. And it's not like he can't play Japan. Like, I've definitely seen him play pretty much every civilization to a very respectable degree of skill. So it's not something that he's unfamiliar with, but it's definitely something that Garja's got to be feeling a little bit happy about in what could potentially be a final game, because Garja definitely... well-versed in the Japan mirror, and I think SoldieR... I don't know if I've ever seen SoldieR play a Japan mirror, to be perfectly honest.
Wow. Okay. So if there is a game for Garja to win, it is going to be this one. SoldieR run down his civilization pool now. You know, so many civs in Age of Empires 3. Well, I say that, but Age of Empires 2 has like 40 civs or something or more. I have no idea. But 14 civilizations in Age of Empires 3. But they are all very different. They all have different mechanics, different units, different techs, all these different things right there. They are quite diverse. And having a wide civ pool is actually very challenging. And in a best of 9 with these civ rules where you can't play a civilization when you've won with it, it does start to get quite challenging, and that means SoldieR a little bit out of his comfort zone, having to pick Japan here. He's got 5 attempts actually, at playing Japan or whatever civ he chooses. He is on match point. The score is 4-0, but ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this. Game number one, pardon me, the final game. One more game to go, before this series potentially ends. SoldieR on match point here, but Garja are going to be feeling pretty good because he knows SoldieR not a Japan player. Let's start with Garja in the south of the map, in the color red, playing as indeed Japan will be starting with an absolute tremendous number of resources. This is Deccan. You get your starting crates plus a whole lot more, and as a result of that, your starting options are really quite wide and diverse. Deccan, I think an iconic map for Age of Empires 3, possibly one of the most popular team game maps, especially at the mid-level, so to speak. I think it's higher level players not such a fan of Deccan, but Deccan in 1v1, I think more popular nowadays than it used to be, and I really love to watch games on Deccan. But both players, you can see immediately scouting the plateau. That is where all of the yaks will spawn. We see 2 here, and I think 2 coming home here, a few more over here. This is the cherry orchard from Garja, just scouting out on the side there, keeping it safe away. Going to use it as a scout. Doesn't need it just yet, has berries in his base, but the idea, collect the yaks and then scout the rest of the map. This is Deccan, ladies and gentlemen, and I think Garja coming out on top here. He has 5 yaks and his opponent only 3 from that scouting there. So Garja going to be quite pleased. He's got more yaks than his opponent, and he can task them to the shrines later on. So going to be quite pleased with that. But having said that, oh no, it's back to 4-4, so completely even in terms of yaks.
Yeah, it looks like SoldieR managed to steal back one of the ones that Garja already stole from him. So, yeah, good for him. But, yeah, going to be relatively even, although this 90 wood treasure, of course, Soldier's here as well. He's like, all right, just going to stand on Garja's side of the map and wait for the opportunity to go in for a steal on something.
The classic SoldieR style. You can see the treasure contention is real. And I think SoldieR went in there. No, I think Garja actually got that first. SoldieR did pick it up. He steals the 90 wood. Can we get some ESOC G's in the chat? Garja going to be seething. I can see it now. Garja not going to be pleased with that. And this is
just look at Soldier's monk, too. He's just standing on the outside there. If the monks try to walk past, he'll know exactly where they are. Or if not, he'll think that they went to the other side. I think he didn't see them move right away, didn't realize they're building a shrine, so he actually thinks that Garja's monks are perhaps on the western side here, which is why he's walking both of his monks towards that side. But unfortunately for him, he did actually miss exactly where they were going, so maybe not going to be able to contest any more treasures. But yeah, definitely a great start for him. Going to be dropping an additional shrine as a result of that. Can we see what their first shipments are? Did both players go for Heavenly Kami? Or Heavenly I guess shipments haven't quite come in
baby.
yet.
SoldieR going with the 300. Okay, this is a mark of SoldieR not wanting to play Japan in the usual style. So let's cover this for anyone not familiar with Age of Empires 3. So in this matchup, it looks like Garja's going to be aging up with the Toshogu Shrine, which gives his shrines a big bonus. Well, firstly, let's start with shrines. Shrines, the Japan can't hunt. They have to gather berries, which is a slower gathering resources. But instead, they build shrines next to animals. And you can see this shrine is like a mini factory generating 0.43 wood per second. Garja has built the Toshogu Shrine, which is a big bonus to all shrines, and has got the Portuguese consulate, which makes shrines cheaper and all buildings actually cheaper in general. So really stacking the shrine bonuses, and that is sort of the standard Japan style, that shrine boom, so to speak. But actually, SoldieR, he is going to go with the Toshogu Shrine. He has got the Portuguese consulate, so has got some shrine bonuses, but actually is sending 300 wood as his first shipment and fully intending to be aggressive, I would expect.
Well, it kind of makes sense even if you aren't going to be aggressive, in a sense. Just because, you know, if you both go for Heavenly Kami and you're both trying to do a heavy shrine boom, you're not going to be able to max out on shrines anyway, at least not on animals. So if you just send 300 wood instead, your shrines will be a little bit more expensive, and, you know, it's going to be gathering very, very, very slightly slower. But you will have a slightly easier time getting those shrines down in transition. And since you're not going to be maxing out shrines anyway, you're not going to be getting your opponent's not going to get the most value out of that Heavenly Kami shipment. So it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be aggressive, but he definitely could be.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like he has any forward villagers or anything like that yet, though.
No, but he is going to burn the Portuguese. He's ending the relations, and I think that's signaling an intention to go with forward barracks coming down on.
He does have a forward barracks.
The left-hand side here near the trading post, and I fully imagine we'll go with the Japanese consulate for the 10% bonus it gives to HP. Pardon me, attack or stats. I'm not sure which it is, but certainly going to have stronger units. Ashigaru Musketeers coming out now.
So the thing is that Garja should actually know that this is coming. This barracks is maybe not going to be in time to really defend this, but like one of the things about Japan is that it's really easy to scout stuff like this, because if you just look at the deck, you can see exactly what shipments they're sending, because they'll lose the ×2 on the shipment, so you can see exactly what they're sending. So if Garja is on top of checking Soldier's deck, he'll know that there's an Ashigaru shipment and probably something really aggressive going on. But it looks like his buildings aren't quite up yet. That rack's going to get denied, actually.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, no, he really needs to get that up. Can he get the barracks up? Oh, it's like one tick away from being complete. Doesn't have the military building yet. Just calling the sentries there, sending the villagers in to construct the barracks there. It does go up, but he's going to lose a couple of villagers for it. Soldier in base here, shooting lots of villagers. A second one goes down, and now forcing them all into there. Thankfully, does get the barracks up. Let's switch over to units in queue. Does have a mesh. No units in queue just yet. This is a little bit awkward for Garja. He sent 600 wood with the intention of shrine booming here. And now he's going to have to hold, I suppose, with a military shipment and a batch of units at the same time.
Yeah, Soldier's definitely got to be feeling good about that right there. He killed like 4 or 5 villagers almost. Let's see exactly.
4 villagers, yeah, not ideal.
That's got to feel really, really good, especially when you went for a shipment like 300 wood instead of Kami. Actually, already going for Ashigaru attack as his second shipment in Colonial. That's really, really
unusual.
Greedy, but
yeah,
it is pretty unusual.
Normally you want a really big mass of musks. 100 bits coming in from the Lonester. Thank you very much. Cheering for Soldier. Garja not happy.
Yeah, 5 Ashigarus of his own coming out. But I was going to say this upgrade sort of makes sense in a way, because he could send more military units. Oh no, the Vils. He could send more military units, but they would take a long time to get there from his base, whereas the unit upgrade will just, help his units instantly, which is sort of exactly what he needs right now. He could have sent an economic shipment instead, but, I think maybe he's not super comfortable in playing the longer style of mirror anyway, so just keeping up the pressure is sort of his type of style here.
Yeah,
and it's his way of sort of
compensating
putting Garja out of his comfort zone.
Yeah, and like playing to his strength. He doesn't want to play the long game with Japan. He's going to try and get these really aggressive early advantages by upgrading the Ashigaru and just being really strong in any fight. This is very all-in from Soldier, but if it pays off, he only has to win one all-in to finish the series, and this could be the one that he goes for. If Garja can stabilize, he might be in a good spot, but he did lose quite a few villagers to this, which is not ideal. 5 Ashigaru Musketeers coming out for the second time here. Looks like he will be able to clean this fight up, but he has lost a considerable number of villagers and is likely to lose this barracks as well. The Shinobi Nomoro in the back there, throwing grenades on top of the barracks. Can he keep it up? Can he keep it up? It's still alive. 34 HP. Does siege it down. Soldier coming in with 5 Ashigarus on the back. Does get the final blow on the racks there. Garja not going to be pleased, just as he was able to stabilize. But it looks like, let's take a look at the economic unit population. Soldier actually ahead, but I suppose only because he sent 4 villagers and has killed 4 villagers as well. But Garja stabilizing here, now pushing out with his Ashies. I wonder if he's checked the stats here. You wouldn't normally expect to see such powerful musketeers early on with the combat card. So maybe this is a bit deceptive, and Garja taking a fight that perhaps he's wouldn't normally do, because if he knew about the stats, you have to check that kind of thing, right? But it looks like it's going okay, though I think Soldier will come out on top here.
Yeah, I think Soldier is going to be totally fine with this trade. With the better economy, it's going to be a little bit easier for him to replace these units, since Garja doesn't have a military building at the moment. It's probably trying to rebuild it at home at the moment, but okay, he's got 2 Raxes up now in the back. no second military building for Soldier just yet. But yeah, definitely looking like a difficult position for Garja at the moment. Sort of all tied up the economic population a little bit with that 4 villager shipment, but
Yeah, it's now fairly even actually. It's slightly behind for Garja. He's got 2 fewer villagers. Can we check the shrine count? So we do that by looking at population, and Garja on 190 population. So he's built considerably more shrines. And remember, these have the Toshoga shrine and all the benefits, including Heavenly Kami here, and they're generating a lot of resources. But that's factored into this. So actually, pardon me, the fact that he's not super far behind is because of the shrines, and that is taken into account. Sorry, things like trading posts are not taken into account, but the shrines are on this graph here. But Soldier now pulling ahead in economy, but only because the 4 villager shipment comes again. We will likely see that from Garja here. But now the dust has settled. What we're looking at is, fairly even numbers of military units, except Soldier has slightly improved combat because of the card that he sent sooner. But actually quite an even game here. But now, I suppose Soldier, there are so many shrines to choose from, he just starts to need to, sort of start sieging them down.
Yeah, it seems like he's still trying to just pick some fights with these Ashi. A couple of Shinobi gonna meet their end. But, yeah, he really wants to leverage the fact that he has that upgrade. But maybe as a result of doing so, he's kind of giving Garja actually an opportunity to get back in the game with the shrine sort of keeping him up in terms of economy, and not going for that might end up costing Soldier in a moment here.
Yeah, it's God, this is really interesting. This is such a strange dynamic to have seen, and Besterio's coming out now. Garja really is in a good spot again. He's got his and 4 villagers coming in as well. So now we can look at the villager populations, and that's sort of how they stand. It's going down a little bit for Garja, but that's just because shrines are being sieged out on the map. But Garja, let's see if he can make something happen here. He's coming out with units. He's got the Besterios, which are very strong crossbowmen, and they're especially good against the Ashigaris. If he can take a good fight, I think he's going to be in a fine spot. But back home here, some sneaky Ashigaris coming in around the back for a raid. Looks like Soldier out, Garja now taking down one of Soldier's shrines, and is going to be able to take down that barracks if he wants to. He's got the larger military.
If he's spotted the racks just yet. But he has to have an idea that it should be a forward building somewhere. And this raid going to be really annoying. Going to lose at least 2 villagers, actually. Really nice split there from Soldier. And yeah, just going to be really annoying with his army. Just going to walk straight underneath the town center, force a lot of idle time. Sentry Pup going to come in trying to snare that army, actually. But no, actually going to decide not to do that. But yeah, that's a really nice trade for Soldier. Forces the units away from the racks, gets a villager's kill, forces some idle time. And behind this, Soldier's actually aging up to the Fortress Age. And this is going to buy him a lot of time to get that Golden Pavilion up, and that's just going to make his units even stronger.
Garja wants to force a fight here, though. I'm not sure if that's ideal because of the upgrade on the Ashes. But Soldier, he's probably wants to go home anyway. He's not going to take a fight. There could be more units nearby. And of course, as you just mentioned, he's aging up. He's just invested, 2,200 resources into the Fortress Age. So wants to go home. He's going to be low on military. And as a result, going to leave that. The fact that he didn't take that fight with that upgrade might tell Garja that something's up, that he's aging or something like that. But either way, Garja sees those units going home. And as a result, is going to get back into the plateau and try and do something. But God, it's so many. The story of this game and the last one is, if we take a look at units lost, Garja's, the raids are just so difficult for him to move. Sorry, I was just reading that chat there. To deal with 10 villagers lost this game, really not ideal. But he's going to get a couple of free shrine kills here. This one here is his, but can kill that there. And that's an ideal shrine location. He can move his monk once it stands back up when it gets 100 HP to go and build in this location. Esok G's in the chat. Classic Garja coming in right there. Besterio's still alive, now bringing them out. They've dealt with the raid at home. Okay,
yep.
But
and
Garja
up himself as well, so
also aging in the back of this. But
something that's just interesting to note for this matchup on this particular map. Normally, Japan has to send the cherry orchard rickshaws to continue gathering food, but there are actually berries on all sorts of different parts of the map. On Deccan, so they could potentially send their villagers outside of their base to try and delay the need for that cherry orchard shipment. Which could mean that you could end up with some sort of tech advantage, or you could have an extra 2 flaming arrows or something over your opponent.
Yeah, you don't have to spend a shipment. Normally, Japan, that's absolutely. They send the 2 cherry orchard shipment, which is that even in SoldieR's deck? Is he just totally taken it out the deck? No, it's there at the
No,
end. Sorry.
it's there. Yeah, that's
Yeah, but
this is actually Garja's deck though.
Yep, but we'll take a look at SoldieR's as well. Very similar decks, but Atonement also in here.
Oh, that's a weird card to have, but all right. To each his own.
Lots of shrines here in the back for SoldieR to take out next to his base, and SoldieR just going to get further and further ahead in terms of economic population since he's going to just build the shrines over here. He doesn't have Heavenly Kami active, though, remember. Garja actually in quite a reasonable economic position despite losing so many villagers. I'm actually quite impressed with that. Although I'm not impressed with his rating, but the position he's in seems very good despite that. So there is that. Both players up to the Fortress Age now. SoldieR electing to send 1,000 gold as his first shipment. Castle now coming down, and I imagine we'll see some flaming arrows which are constructed at the castle.
Yep.
Continuing that theme of artillery. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that Garja's been shown to struggle against in this series. So, yeah, the large flaming arrow mass not going to be easy for him to deal with. Sending 1,000 coin himself, though, I don't think he has a castle. I wonder if he's just going to go up to industrial, which could actually be a really good answer to these flaming arrows, even if he doesn't know that it's coming.
Garja's deck, not super late game, but does have that essential 4 flaming arrow shipment, which can be sent twice, remember, and of course Shogun Tokugawa, who will receive, who will do, really nice bonus to upgrades and can train and receive units as shipments. Garja pushing forwards here with his army, now has disciplined Ashigaru in, is starting to mix in Yumi Archer as well, the ranged infantry coming in to push villagers whilst these high siege units stay in the back there, trying to poke in at some villagers and see if he can get some kills. Let's have a look.
Yeah, and I think he just knows that he's seen SoldieR's army on the eastern side of the map there, so he can sort of poke in, see what he's up to. He's going to spot the castle with these units and get a couple of Vill kills, it looks like, which is going to be nice for him. But yeah, that flaming arrow's going to be popping out.
Oh, baby. What a shot.
This is good information, though, for him. Trading off these units for a couple of villagers and the information that there's going to be flaming arrows coming from this castle is definitely... a decent trade for him. He can't be too unhappy about that. And, yeah, 2 Flaming Arrow shipment coming up for SoldieR as well. So this is going to be his time to push, most likely, because he knows for sure, unless Garja is also making Flaming Arrows, that he's going to have an advantage in that regard. But meanwhile, Garja is going to be going up to Industrial, and these Flaming Arrows are going to take a long time to get across the map. And that Shogunette's going to give him a lot of experience towards these shipments. So it will take some time for him to be able to match the Flaming Arrow mass with those 2 Flaming Arrow shipments of his own. But definitely is actually looking to be in a good position. Although he has to be a little bit careful with his villagers because he's not going to be sending cherry orchards and his vills are going to be a little bit exposed maybe on berries.
Yeah, that's true. Although, where are the berries on this map? He's got, there's some down the left-hand side there. There's going to be some on the plateau. Yeah, you can see here. But he's going to have, like Japan usually really safe in their base, gathering from their cherry orchards. But this game, yeah, he's going to have to find. There's some berries on this side of the map, so he can gather from there. There's some more berries up here. Deccan, wow. And there's also, remember, I don't know if it's relevant right now, but the Sufi, you can research vegetarianism.
There's actually the Bhakti temple as well.
It's the other one.
Yeah, that's the one you're talking about. The 40% upgrade.
Yeah, to berry
I don't think it's quite worth it. There's not like it's too expensive to get early on, and there's not enough berries left later on to really justify it. It feels like, but it's definitely a good upgrade if you can get it pretty early. This might be the only time in the game where you can sort of think about getting it, and if you don't get it now, you can't get it at all. But yeah, we'll see. This raid, he sort of got the idea probably that Garja's not on cherry orchards at home, because if he just checks the deck, he'll know that Garja hasn't sent it. So just checking these berries is going to pay off huge for him.
Yeah, he can see in the deck. They will eventually target them. Oh, Garja, this is not ideal. Gathering outside the base here, but he does have 4 flaming arrows of his own, and now Daimo Musume is on the board here.
And the honored Ashigaru as well. So he's got a really, really strong military behind this, and he'll be able to send his next flaming arrow shipment to that daimyo as well. Which will give him a really strong timing, although they're kind of just sitting around at the moment.
It might be training units or something.
Could be, although he's not moving his flaming arrows either, so maybe he
Oh!
just forgot. Oh no.
Garja! Garja!
Not the best trade.
Yeah, not ideal there. Let's switch over to military units. It was very even. In fact, it is completely even, 79 to 79. But Garja just lost a slight advantage there, which he really needs. He was, but he has got 8 flaming arrows here, which is going to give him a solid way to push in. And remember, these are these are honored Ashigaru musketeers, so they have considerable stats advantage over his opponent there, and also the daimyo providing extra power here. I think this could be a game-winning push for Garja. He just needs to take a leaf out of these previous games and have better artillery control. Really pay attention to that. But just waltzing in there with the Ashigarus, he knows they've got very solid stats here. But can he get the artillery on the artillery? That's exactly what he needs. Takes down, and it looks like Garja might win this fight. No artillery, just 2 flaming arrows left for SoldieR.
Yeah, this is
Takes
looking
them all down.
really good for Garja. And SoldieR, he's not aging or anything behind this. Doesn't have any flaming arrows in queue. Although it looks like he did train a few more. But yeah, it's looking like a good situation for Garja, despite the fact that his villagers are sort of being denied a little bit of gathering and stuff like that, and these continued raids are being really annoying. But he's going to be able to pick off some shrines of his own, and he's going to be able to just slow push the base with these flaming arrows. And SoldieR, yeah, forced to retreat. He's going to have to try and make some kind of fight here. Looks like he's going to go for a flank, maybe with those Ashigarus or something, to try and get these flaming arrows down. But yeah, definitely a tricky situation for him at the moment.
Four more flaming arrows for SoldieR in the back there, but not going to stand up to the 7 of Garja. And Daimyo Shogun Tokugawa arrives just in time as well. And those 2 units together have such incredible HP. And they're going to come in just on the perfect side to do some damage versus these units here. Doesn't want to lose these 2 units since they provide such a great HP and stats advantage. But this is a very solid fight for Garja with all this artillery in the back. Although it's idling onto the consulate.
There's not a lot of Ashigaru left.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
He maybe sort of overplayed his hand trying to take out the flaming arrows with his Ashigaru. He's got a lot of flaming arrows left himself, but if he doesn't have any Ashi to defend them, it could be he could be just losing the flaming arrows. And it looks like, yeah, SoldieR actually gonna stay in the game. Going into melee mode against those flaming arrows now.
Oh no!
And I don't know if Garja has much of a follow-up behind this.
There's no follow-up, right? He's got his 8. He can't send any more flaming arrows. Garja, the economic unit population's actually... Hold on a moment. It's not over. Not ideal for Garja. That should have came out much better, that fight. Not ideal. But he's not super far behind in military. He's been able to retrain. He's back on his berries. And he is in the industrial age, remember. He has still got the guard upgrade. His opponent does not. So, not an ideal fight.
Yeah, he does also have those daimyos, so he's definitely not out of the woods, but like that could have he's definitely not out of the game, but he's not out of the woods yet. Having lost those flaming arrows, taking a big blow to his military mass for sure. And yeah, I mean, so if it's sort of given SoldieR an opportunity to get back into the game.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to take this to the long game now. He's dumping down a second town center. But this is the position SoldieR was trying to avoid. He didn't want to go to the super late game as Japan, and he sort of has. He's now fighting against an industrial age opponent, although he's done quite well so far. But now bringing down his second town center, trying to gain control of the berries in the middle of the map there. Garja poking in on the side, but now has discovered that his opponent's switching into Yumi Archer, which is the counter to the Ashigaru Musketeer there. Looks like we have SoldieR coming down in the south looking for perhaps villagers on berries and on coin mines, trying to find a raid here, but nothing to be found. But SoldieR is going to be searching over there. This is turned into a very, very strange game. But Garja has pulled ahead in the economic counts, and he's up to the industrial age.
That 7 villager shipment, pulling it back a little bit. Although he's not got he's not got a lot of food left at home. He's gonna have to think about sending orchards soon. Although this is a really good pick for him, maybe if he's paying attention. Although the Yumi do quite well against Ashigaru, but yeah, the honored Ashigaru should be okay in this fight.
Especially with the daimyos coming in from behind.
The daimyos coming in from behind. This is going to be a really nice pick for him. SoldieR's aging behind this, and he could potentially push onto the villagers on that gold mine and stuff like that off of the back of this.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah,
oh, wow. What a game.
Town center. However, once SoldieR does get up to the industrial age, he'll have access to those industrial age shipments that Garja no longer has. So Garja is on a little bit of a clock here. And this is looking like a really, really good fight for him, actually.
Yeah, and those villagers thankfully running out of coins so they can go to safety now. But you are right. Garja has a limited window. Once the guard upgrades start coming in for SoldieR, and as you mentioned, those flaming arrow shipments, it's going to be really, really tough. Don't lose the daimios. Masasuma going back there. He really needs the stats, but using up the HP whilst he can. But I think Garja going to come out decisively in the lead on this fight here, picking up a few Vil kills there as well, and then can push forward. And as his opponent ages up, he'll be able to deal with shipments as and when they arrive, and this is absolutely fine for Garja now.
Yeah, it's looking quite good for him. He's going to be able to clean up this town center. Can we take a look at SoldieR's deck, though, just see what he has available to him in terms of shipments? Okay, so he's got Yumi and Flaming Arrows, both pretty good cards. Although SoldieR is probably the one who's going to be hurting for food the most now. He's going to be thinking about sending orchards or transitioning to rice paddies soon. And these berry patches that he is gathering from are very exposed. Also, all these villagers going to go down. But yeah, this is looking like a really good situation for Garja.
Commanding lead now. Look at that military population and really back into this game with the economic unit population as well. Garja's diverse civ pool really coming in strong. Despite not having won a game yet, he could still play every civilization, but has chosen a different one every single game. And this is where Garja's coming out on top. He's doing very, very well here.
Yeah, and I mean, SoldieR did a good job in the early game of sort of pushing Garja outside of his comfort zone, but
Garja picks up the victory.
To be the better Japan player.
Will not be the sweep. It could be the start, however, of the reverse sweep. SoldieR has used up all of his good civilizations, so to speak, the ones he's comfortable with, the ones that he's strong playing with. And as you can see here, sort of stumbled and faltered despite, yes, if we take a look at the graphs, as SoldieR is pointing out, that villager deficit in the early game. Jeez, it's just, he lost so many vills and SoldieR not able to pull it ahead. That, yeah, Garja is right.
He did have a lot more shrines than SoldieR, to be fair.
That's
and SoldieR picked some not so great fights. Like Garja won most fights, aside from that one push where he sort of maybe wasted his Ashigaru and then lost the Flaming Arrows at the end of it. But aside from that, pretty well played by Garja. I think also going up to Industrial was a really good decision. He knew exactly where SoldieR's army was the entire time because they were sieging shrines on the eastern side of the map. And once he saw the castle, like, it was just really obvious that SoldieR wasn't going to be able to follow him up to Industrial very easily.
Damn, God, what a game. I am so excited now. I've never casted a reverse sweep. It's a best of 9, right? Like, is a long, long way to go. Garja, that would be very impressive. But SoldieR, right, he's run his civs down. I guess he only needs to win one more game. Let's see. We're now going to 25 minutes. That was so scrappy. This is the civilization selection screen. You can see SoldieR has run his civ pool a little bit dry, but we are going to go into game number 6 coming up next. SoldieR versus Garja. This is looking to be a very, very interesting series. I really hope Garja can take a second game. Oh, I better leave. We'll wait for them to... That is true. The next map will be High Plains, I believe. Looks like Garja's just gone offline. I imagine he's just restarting the game, make sure the client's all working for him. But yes, the next map, let's just ask SoldieR. And the next map is High Plains. I can see it on my screen, Maito. I've got the Civ selection screen up. It will be High Plains, followed by Fertile Crescent, then Pampas, Sieras, and finally Florida if we get that far. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to High Plains. I really, really like High Plains. Maito, shall we give an overview of High Plains and sort of how that plays out for anyone that's tuning in who isn't perhaps familiar entirely with the map pool? Okay, we're going to switch back to the cameras. Please don't show the screen just yet. Okay, we're just figuring out what's going on here. Now, Garja is in the game. Okay. All right, then. It looks like we will be ready. No, he restarted. Okay. Pardon me. Okay, so pardon me, whoever is in the booth. I thought something was going wrong, but we can now switch into the lobby. Pardon me for that. The next map will be High Plains. Let's see what... Oh, whoops. Let's not have that on the clipboard. Garja has to pick first, but I was about to explain that, but it looks like Garja knows that he will be... we don't have Mito audio. We're not on your POV, Will. Oh, I see. Right.
Can people not hear me?
No, they can hear you, but I shouldn't tab out of the game. Otherwise, you can't be heard, I think. Can Mito be heard now? Say something, Mito.
Blah, blah, blah.
Wonderful. Blah, 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 indeed. So, guys, did you hear Mito say blah, blah, blah?
All right,
he can be heard when we are
looks
showing...
like it can be.
Oh, right, so they didn't want... right, we've figured it out, okay, because the NDI... I understand, okay, so we switched scenes to show the camera on me, but then we're not taking the audio from this PC, which is where you're coming from. But it looks like we will be... can we switch back to the civilization selection screen just for a moment, and then we will be getting back into this... Okay, we are ready to look at the lobby. Garja has selected the Sioux. And we will now see what SoldieR picks in response. So Garja has to pick first since he won the previous game, and SoldieR will now get the counter pick. So yes, as you mentioned earlier, SoldieR's Civ pool getting a bit run down, but he does get that counter pick here. I'm really excited to see how this plays out. Sioux actually performing very well on the High Plains recently. They're very good at contesting those routes and stopping any kind of advanced trading post or control over those trading posts. So we'll see how the Sioux goes, but it's now on SoldieR to select his civilization.
He could just choose to stick with Japan here.
That is true.
Japan's sort of like a classic counter to Sioux, just because Sioux don't really have a lot of siege to deal with the shrines, and it's also a little bit hard for them to punish to abuse the fact that they're really good at raiding and their mobility and stuff like that, because the villagers are always going to be nice and safe under the town center, gathering from those cherry orchards. So it's an option available to SoldieR for sure. But we'll see if it's something he wants to go for. Okay, no, it's going to be the Ottomans.
Ottoman versus Sioux on High Plains. Any insights? On the RE patch, Ottoman very strong against the Sioux, but here, I think not so much, right?
Yeah, I mean, Otto's definitely not as good as they are on our repatch. The Sioux is quite a bit better, so yeah, it'll be interesting. It kind of depends a little bit on whether or not SoldieR can get control over the trading post line. If Garja can find those treasure guardians or those native treasures early on, which he has a lot of time to do while SoldieR goes to build that first trading post, then it might be really easy for him to just deny any additional trading posts in transition to colonial in the early colonial age until SoldieR really has units to try and defend his explorer as he does that.
Yep, get your bets in really real quick, guys. We could see the bets closing any moment now, but it will be Ottoman versus Sioux. 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, everybody. Get your bets in. You can see, to bets, it's you type exclamation point bet, and then the name of the player followed by the number of points to bet. Everyone has been given 100 points, and you also have the points that you have won in the previous bets today. At the end of today, the points will be wiped. You will not have any left, and the player or the person with the most points will receive a Steam game, a game on Steam of their choice up to the value of $40. So do get your bets in. But it looks like...
Are you ready?
We are asking Garja if he is ready. And we will soon be starting. I think he must be checking deck. He must be checking the decks and just making sure he's got all the cards that he deems necessary to deal with the Ottomans here. I wonder what the betting standings. I saw someone bet like 4,000 points on the outcome of a game just coming up, which is a considerable number. They must have done very, very well in the betting.
Yeah, I guess you'd have to get all the bets right to have something like that.
Yeah, Cold Nuggets coming in with 3,113 points on SoldieR here, so really putting all his eggs in. But I'm wondering, God, because that must be all the points. If you lose here, you lose everything, right? Damn. But at the same time, you need to sort of be in the lead if you want the game. So you have to, if you want the game. When I say I want the game, oh shit, you need to fix that.
What happened?
Cool. Would someone in the office mind bringing me... Oh, it's fixed now. I sorted it. Could you bring me a glass of water? Would that be... Thank you. Cool. Looks like we had... there's something in between the... Tragedy live, yes. Okay, basically what happened is there's something propping the desk up in the middle of the desk where a filing cabinet should be, but it fell over and I fixed it now. But ladies and gentlemen, we are spawning into game number 7 in this best of 9 series. Pardon me, game number 6. It will be Ottoman versus the Sioux on High Plains. The score is currently 4-1. It is match point to SoldieR. He was about to win. He needed one more game, but Garja took it off him. Garja making a comeback potentially. Could we see the reverse sweep? It will be Ottomans versus the... Thank you very much. I got it. Yep, all good. Cheers.
One nice thing about this matchup for Garja as well is just that Otto kind of have a problem dealing with ranged cavalry, and Sioux get the bow rider very early in the game. And if he manages to get a decent mass of bow riders and keep soldiers unit mass and like maybe the trading posts under control, it could be really difficult for him to deal with the big mass of bow riders in early fortress or in early mid-colonial. So
Yes.
That's an advantage he has going for him as well. That trading post, did he get the pass on that? I don't know. It looks like he might have got the pass, but I'm not really sure.
I think
it looked
so,
really close.
Judging from the XP here.
That's insane. I've never seen anyone get the pass on that trading post before. That's going to be nice for him for sure. And it's also not going to be a trading post that Garja expects him to go for. 130 food, going to be a really nice pickup for Otto. Get that early age up even earlier. Meanwhile, though, Garja just getting a couple of decent treasures, getting a good treasure guardian as well with that Outlaw Rider. Going to be tanking with it, reserve some of his explorer's HP.
Looking good. All right, I'm all watered up like a plant. I'm feeling fresh. I am ready for the reverse sweep, potentially. 3 settlers coming in from the Ottoman player here. Nothing unusual to see there. 3 settlers, very, very standard, of course. But in terms of age 1 here, Garja, he's got 70 XP, he's got his 80 food there, and but SoldieR, he's picked up, 2 nice juicy coin treasures in base, and he's actually doing very well for the treasures here, despite being up against such a fast-moving explorer and spending, such a long time building that trading post. So SoldieR doing quite well in age 1, I think.
Yeah, it looks like he's definitely doing well. Although this villager treasure is going to get spotted by Garja, it looks like, and he's going to be able to contest it.
Tomahawk treasure by the looks of it, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
He's going to
I don't know
play...
why I said villager.
Well, it's fine. It's a Tomahawk, right? But looks like Garja playing SoldieR at his own game, sort of waiting behind the treasure here and just going to come in at the last moment. These are wolves, so you can't really... Go on.
Yeah, this is a really important treasure for this matchup as well, because this Tomahawk will do really well against the Sioux Explorer. But at the same time, this Tomahawk can also be really nice for Sioux to deny trading posts in transition and early colonial. So that's going to be a really, really nice pickup for Garja. SoldieR not going to be able to construct any TPs in transition or anything like that. Just going to be forced to sort of hide with his Explorer. And 2 Ford villagers sneaking on up. So one thing about Sioux and just native civilizations in general is they don't have Minutemen like other civs do. So being really aggressive is sometimes really difficult to deal with, especially as Sioux. They don't have the defensive options that civs like Iroquois or Aztec do. And if Garja doesn't expect this, he could be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. That could be an issue, right? But I think here, SoldieR just trying to be really aggressive. He just needs to take a victory, not necessarily with all-ins, but if he keeps doing all-ins, he would eventually get a victory. Nothing all-in about an Ottoman barracks being constructed here, but you are right. If it's not spotted, it could be really tough for Garja to deal with. No scouting information just there yet, but is going to pursue the Ottoman explorer all the way back to the base here with the Tomahawk, and of course the explorer there. Take it down.
Yeah, and it looks like he'll be here in time to sort of he'll see the second house going down, which will be a little bit of a giveaway that it's not a fast fortress or anything. He'll also see this first shipment.
Oh, he's gonna know for sure.
The 700 food shipment is a big giveaway that it's gonna be like a dual racks jam rush.
This is an all-in. This is another all-in. SoldieR just trying to take the cheeky win there. He's gonna see the 700 food on the floor, and he's gonna know instantly that it's a double racks Jan all-in, and he's gonna have to make the necessary preparations to deal with that. But he's
it looks
still
like
gonna be
war hut going up at home behind his base. But look at his herding. His hunts are so far out front of his base. This is going to be really, really problematic for him if he doesn't get those into his base very soon. Thankfully for him, I don't think SoldieR has had the opportunity to scout his side of the map yet, so he doesn't actually know that Garja's this hunt screwed at the moment. He also doesn't have any TPs up to sort of bolster his units in this fight. But yeah, this is really, really dangerous for him. Does he have another hunt on the eastern side? It's a little bit difficult to tell with... okay, he does. So he's sort of okay. Gonna be... Oh, that's a stable in the back of his base. Dropping a war hut on the hunt. Okay. And now dropping a TP. TP's, of course, going to make his units a little bit stronger, but going to get denied, it looks like, by these Janissaries. One Vil does go down. Looks like all of the TP's going to be half constructed, and this war hut might not even go up with... Or it will go up, but, like, very expensive to build this war hut. That's a lot of villagers that have died already, and this is already looking really, really, really good for SoldieR. Is that 6 villagers that have gone down? 7 villagers. That's just game over, it looks like. A really brutal way to lose in this game here.
Can we see some EscapeAoEs in the chat? But that looks like it's going to be the final game there. Citambo arriving, but the war hut not going up. That is going to be the end of the series, and I don't have a 5th button to press, but SoldieR winning 5-1. It is... You knew he would rush. Oh, EscapeAoE, can we see them in the chat? This is classic Garja right here. But I had a really fun time casting this series. But everyone, don't go away just yet. We need to announce the winner of the betting. But more importantly, we do have some analysis coming up. The guys in the office have been busy clipping key moments from all of the games, and we're going to watch them all back in a highlight reel on the couch area, and we're going to talk about different things that happened. Won't be doing that with Maito, since he's not here in person. He's on Discord with me, but I'll be joined by Robo, possibly Zero Empire Zach as well. Maybe just one of them, I'm not sure. And we're going to just talk about what they were thinking when they were watching the games, and we'll just do a little bit of analysis where we can on those clips, and it should be looking pretty good. But that is going to be the end of the series. SoldieR coming out 5-1. Didn't pick up the 5-0, which I really think when it was available, he was on that fourth game. If he could have gone 5-0, SoldieR would have been so pleased with himself. This was a bit of a grudge match for these players, but looks like SoldieR going to resolve that with the victory here and picking himself up $200 dingoes. Well, not dingo dollars, but certainly US dollars. It was originally a $100 show match, but Sir Callan, AoE in the chat, gave us an extra motherfucking SoldieR hype. That's right. That's an old one there, but well done, SoldieR. Congratulations. Yes, the highlight reel is coming, so stay tuned. We're going to watch over all of the highlights of this series. But yes, well done to SoldieR. Picks himself up $100 from us and $100 from Sir Callan as well. So thank you for that, Sir Callan. But yes, I really, really enjoyed that. Any comments before we... this 6 minutes, what a get... this is... never mind. But I thought it was a really, really fun series. But guys, we're going to be doing show matches weekly, ideally, going forward, both for Age of Empires 3 and Age of Empires 2. So keep an eye on that. We will be doing the betting like usual as well, so something to participate in. But yeah, we really want to start bringing more competitive back to the stream. It's sort of what we like doing and it's our strengths. Although to do that, we do need your help, so to speak, because money matches, they cost money, and really the number that we can do is linked to the amount of support that we see from the community. So if you really like to see some more Age of Empires 3, a subscription really is the best way to help us out, and we thank you very, very much for that. But we will be back next week. I don't know who the players will be, but we will try and arrange another money show match, so to speak. But yes, I am going to head over to the couch, and we will do the highlight reel discussion. We'll watch all these moments back from the games. But before that, Maito, I'll let you say any concluding thoughts that you may have.
Yeah, not much to say. Just some good games in this series, and it was a lot of fun, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome, and hopefully we'll see you another time as well. These series are really, really long, so appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and cast them with us. But thank you very much for watching, everybody. Join us on the couch in just a moment to watch back the highlights of this series. I'll see you on the couch. All right, see you, Maito. Thank you for casting.
Hello everyone. So those are some exciting games. I'm just going to sort of chat a little bit while we wait for Will to have a quick bathroom break. First of all, cheers to 40 Swarm, I guess, for the sub. Thank you very much, helping support us in what we're doing here in the studio. Oh, here comes Will. Looks like he's got a mug of water or something coming forwards. Mic ready. Oh, how do you feel after that?
God, that was fun. This is a great Sunday. Like, if I could, I would do this at home. I would do this at home, right? If I
All
could,
the time?
If I could put a best of 9 show match on with a $200 prize pool on my Sunday, I'd do it, right?
Okay, so guys, what he's saying is go donate $200 to his stream,
my chat,
and then he'll start doing this.
Well, no, the point is I'm here on a Sunday now, but,
Well,
but like
you could do it on our Sunday.
I'm just so pleased. This is just such a wonderful thing to do, and I just can't believe like I got to sit there and cast a best of 9 with my buddy Maito, and now we're gonna watch highlights. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
it's
It's like,
just-
whoa!
I know,
It's
so
like so professional
what
and
have you-
organized.
Have we figured out the sound issue? Yesterday, I don't know, guys, but yesterday we did this for Age of Empires 2. We're still figuring it out. We'll find a good solution, but you may have to hear the audio of the clip for the first half a second before it gets muted. Just that we're still figuring out, but
We're
this is
hoping that's fixed.
Oh, nice.
Well,
Fixed.
maybe.
Okay.
We'll
Okay.
see.
But this is good practice, right, for the
Hopefully
new world.
they don't all play at the same time, though.
That, like, yeah, that was a Ham. Can you post that in the chat? That was
God, that was
hilarious.
funny.
Yeah, there was this clip where Robo and Zach were sitting down to do commentary, or no, to do analysis, and then I transitioned the scene and it plays like 8 clips.
Right. So I'm sitting there trying to talk over these clips, right? Just like explain what's happening, and I can't hear this, but the stream hears Zach talking like 4 or 5 times at once.
Yeah.
Just heard massive words
from
spewing
multiple
out at them.
clips. It was hilarious. It was so
Yeah,
funny.
it was a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
But before we get going, we're going to announce the winner of the betting competition. So up in first place, we've got Cold Nuggets 3000.
Oh, I saw that guy betting hundreds,
He was
thousands of
going
points.
hard.
Yeah.
Yep. He's got 5,500 points. Chat, stop scrolling.
So he
Second.
did he get the outcome? Wait, did he get every single bet right then? Was he multi-betting? Or did he just like
I
bet
think he
all
got
his points in every time?
No,
on-
he was betting every single round, so I think he got most of them right.
Yeah.
Second, only just behind, we've got Comet K with
Oh.
5,400.
I noticed Comet K. I recognize that name.
So like that's
speaking
pretty
to
close
today.
at the top. There's only 70 points between them, and then third is only another 20 points behind that.
Yeah.
So, Mr.
Damn, you should have read them out in reverse order.
Oh, sorry.
What are
I
you
didn't think of
doing,
that.
Robo?
Mr. Cold Nuggets, Ham will message you from the EscapeAoE Twitch account to organize getting you your nice $40 Steam game.
Yeah. Oh, congratulations. That was so much fun, Robo.
Yeah, it was
Can I get your thoughts on before we get into the highlights?
Uh-huh.
Now that you've been playing Age 3 a bit more,
A little bit, yeah.
do you have any thoughts on how the pace of the game is? I mean, some of those games are really, really long, right? Like that New England one.
The
it was
New England one was
back and
insane.
forth with
Right.
cannons everywhere. But the game just before that was really
Incredibly
short and incredibly fast.
It's really weird 'cause, like the first two games, I've got like 3 or 4 clips to talk about, and then for New England, there's like 13.
Wow! We're gonna relive New England. That was such a
Right?
great game.
There was
Like,
just so many things constantly happening to talk about.
yeah, God, you must have been highlighting like a madman, just going like.
Well, every time there was a big fight or something exciting or different happened, I had to get it.
Yeah.
Like, how can you go through the game if you don't see what happened?
Do you have a favorite game from the series?
Oh, that's tough. I think probably Thar Desert.
Thar Desert. Yeah, you liked that one last time.
I thought that was really exciting how aggressive it was, and
Yeah.
just the way they both approached it in very different ways.
Yeah.
Which was
Yeah, I like
nice.
that. That was an interesting game. The samurai start from SoldieR with the extra units, but Garja coming with the stronger muscles. I'm sure we'll see that in just a moment. But should we do the clip reels?
I think we should.
All
Zach,
right.
play the first game. We've got the British Mirror. I don't remember what this map is.
This is Kamchatka.
Okay, so here we've got like basically the first difference in the game. We've got Garja coming forwards with his barracks, and also his tower up in this little choke point area.
Oh yeah, he sets his tower down sort of on the right-hand side. Traditionally in the British Mirror, you'll see the tower going down sort of next to the barracks just to reinforce it a bit. But this is going to give him a sort of a bit of extra map control, and that's the placement of the outpost
Yeah,
there.
looks like it's playing again.
Okay, so it's on loop. All right then, we'll watch it a second time.
Yeah, so I guess he's just sort of like spreading out, trying to control as much of the map
Yeah,
in the early game.
and this really sets up for that longer game, right? It makes Garja's barracks a bit weaker because there's no outpost sort of nearby, but he has got a bit more vision there. I can't remember how that panned out, but I'm sure we'll see the next clip coming up in just a moment.
Okay, here we go. So the second one is basically the difference in army composition. Right, Garja's got this huge mass of longbows and muskets, and SoldieR's just like, you know, you can't really do too much to me. I'm just going to go up to the next age and kind of ignore your army for a while.
Yeah, or like in the British mirror, it's very, very tough to get to the Fortress Age. But if you can sneak that age up in somewhere, you're going to be in a really commanding position. You can get those falconets, which just complement the musk mass so well. Falconets are just so strong against infantry, and you can get those sort of musketeer upgrades in your deck, and indeed upgrade them to veteran as well. But to get to the Fortress Age is so tough because the game is balanced on this knife edge where both British players will not let their opponent do that. And if you see that they're doing that, the second they sort of age up, you can walk into their base because they've spent 1,200 food and 1,000 gold clicking the button, and that means that they've got considerably fewer musketeers, and you can just waltz in there and do a ton of damage. So British players in the mirror always looking to get up to the Fortress Age for those advantages, but it's so tough to do, and that's partly because British, they don't have an age up fast option, so they're just sort of, it's such a risky thing to do. And sometimes in British mirrors you even see players sort of putting advanced plantation in their deck, which is a card that makes plantations available to create in Age 2, just because the stalemate is so strong at that top level where you just cannot find a window to do it. But yeah, did manage to get the age up in there, and that is a definitely very influential part of that game and allows him a big advantage.
And you mentioned the falconets, and we're going to see that in the next clip, where the 2 falconets come from the home city shipment, plus he makes 2 more from the arsenal, and it just sort of pushes Garja back.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to handle it, right? This is the strength, as I was saying, of the Fortress Age. Like, there we go. Often you don't see people building artillery foundries. It's not that common, but here I guess he's got a big economy, and having 4 falconets is absolutely incredible. If you can defend them with that giant musk mass, and you see he's got the veteran upgrade in, which is 20% attack and hit points, cannon's just going to be so overwhelmingly difficult to deal with. And the 4 cannons in particular means that even when Garja gets up, he's trying to follow him up to the next stage, because if he stays colonial, it's just, how are you going to deal with those cannons?
Unless the other player misplays,
yeah,
right?
Normally the answer is your cannons versus their cannons. You have this sort of like cannon mirror, and the control of the cannons is just so important. And there with 4 falconets, SoldieR was just sort of guaranteeing that he'd come out on top in that falconet
we're
exchange.
going to see that clearly in the final clip.
Okay,
where
so
it's just basically one-shots both of the cannons from Garja, and then just
you
cleans
can see
up everything else.
the 2 red cannons are so close together. Just as they're moving, the splash damage just kills them all
They're
instantly.
just all dead, yeah. And then these muskets just start getting chewed up.
And they just can't stand there and fight anymore. There's no with the can. It's just really, really not ideal, and he's just so difficult to fight against the artillery there. I think he does a good job cleaning them up later on in the game, but this particular moment gave SoldieR such an overwhelming power spike, sort of, that he lead, so to speak, that he was able to do very, very well.
I think Garja kills like 1 or 2 of the cannons, but he loses most of his army
to do it, yeah.
and then the game is basically instantly over.
Yeah, you got to clean them up at some point. You can't let them just be there. Yeah, I think he kills a couple with the musk, like you're saying, but there's also a dragoon, or is that a future game with a dragoon?
There's no dragoons in this game. It's just the pure muskets.
Yeah, so I think that was his best chance, because melee damage is really strong against cannons. You saw him just running.
It's just everything's dying.
Yeah, and this is the do or die moment. Like in that very final clip there, we saw 8 musks that came as a shipment just running in there, and it looks like suicide, and it probably was, but maybe the cannons, maybe SoldieR doesn't target your musks, and the musks get in there in the back, and SoldieR doesn't notice or something, and then you just melee them down. Cannons have 75% ranged resist, which is incredible, right? But they have no melee resist, so he just wants to get up close and just bash them down, but SoldieR...
That's his only real chance.
Yeah, SoldieR not going to have any of that, just says, I'm going to target your musks, kills them all, and then it's
turns around and keeps shooting the rest of the musks.
It's just over, and that was an abrupt end to the game there. Mistake perhaps from Garja for even letting the game get to a position where SoldieR would be able to age up, but SoldieR found that window.
To be a bit more aggressive with his huge colonial army.
It would seem, yeah. But SoldieR found that window, managed to get away with it, wasn't punished, got 4 falconets out, which is the fact that he was even saving to make falconets is so many resources not being trained into musks or something, and then it looks like we see SoldieR take that game quite convincingly in the end. Very risky though to go, but well done, and congratulations to SoldieR in that game, won there.
Very well played.
So
next game.
This is game number 2 now on
Game
Baja,
2.
California.
German mirror.
I'm not sure what to expect from this clip.
Okay, well the first one is basically just the difference in start.
Okay, yeah.
Right, we've got the Doppel soldiers coming out from SoldieR. He's sort of running around, sieging the TPs, defending his own one, and then he gets this absolutely brilliant snare here, and then just the 2 Doppel soldiers come in, and just shred through these Ulans.
Yeah, Doppelsoldners have such incredible damage versus cavalry. They're like the pure counter. They get 20 damage, which is actually really strong for a unit anyway, and area damage on top of that. And then against cav, it's multiplied by 3, right? And Ulans, they're actually just this really low HP unit. They have incredible damage, right? Ulans are very much a raiding unit. They have very high base attack, but actually quite low hit points. And Doppelsoldners will just absolutely tear through them. And that snare was really, really nice.
Right. And he also had the nice thing where he was sieging the top trading post. Okay, here we are. We've got a bit of a fight coming in. He's going forwards. Garja thinking, okay, I can't see his army. I'm going to siege his trading post. And then round the back, here comes SoldieR. He gets a settler wagon. He causes all this idle time when they have to run away someplace else.
Yeah.
And now he's have to stop his push, essentially, to come back and deal with this.
Yeah, you see pulling back the Ulans to counter this. And that's the story of this game. SoldieR's been playing a lot recently, really practicing. I think he really wants to make it to the New World Championships. I don't know, I think he'll let me say this on stream, but him and his girlfriend are really hoping for sort of a free flight to the UK, and then they're going to explore Europe. So for SoldieR, this is really important to him that he gets through through the qualifiers so that he can have that holiday with his girlfriend and also, compete in a LAN event. Why not? That's awesome.
And have the chance to make some pretty big money.
Yeah, exactly, right? And he's done that today, $200. Congratulations to him. But yeah, that's just the moral of the story. Cav raiding all the time, and SoldieR really on point, playing lots recently.
This is really the first time that I've seen mercenaries played
so
very much.
They're really strong in this matchup because in the German mirror, you have so many cavalry floating around because your shipments give you cavalry. And also, because there's so much cav, I guess you sort of make fewer skirms. And at this point, when you don't have that critical skirm mass and these Black Riders come out, you can never get the critical skirm mass. It's like you have to be there, and once these are out now, it's just like. And also I think he chatted, and because of that he got the units are on top of him, got the snare in, and just lost all of the stuff. Like the Black Riders in the German mirror are so strong, and particularly for Germany, because usually they get those free cavalry, they get Ulans for free,
of course.
but the Black Riders don't do that. Instead you just get extra mercenaries. So you've got these incredible dragoons which have this amazing sort of 40% resist, and they're just very, very strong.
And they just sort of cleaned up everything, and there's nothing Garja could do to counter that.
He could have not been chatting. That would have been
He might have had a
ideal.
better fight, but
it
was stacked against him.
It was the whole rest of the game, right, as well. That we saw all of that raiding coming in, and SoldieR start with the Doppelsoldners. He got those trading posts down. For Garja, he just didn't have like that XP curve. The shipments were not far enough along for him to send, say, 8 skirmishers and 7 skirmishers from his home city to get more skirmishers. And had he gotten more skirmishers, those Black Riders would not have been as effective. But SoldieR taking steps, all game long, killing the trading posts and really sort of preventing that from happening. So, the Black Riders were just the nail in the coffin after. You know what I'm trying to say? After a really, really nice game.
Punished him for like all the other damage that he's done throughout the early game.
Yeah.
Right. So into game number 3.
The juicy. Yes, this was brilliant here. You can see all the walls he's
this
setting
is literally
up.
just a clip showing SoldieR's like, I'm just not even going to bother playing this game, the early game. I'm just going to wall up and boom with all my mini
Gonna
TCs.
Sit in the back with his 3 TCs. Mind you, you might think that's really strong, but at this point, and I think Garja could have won this multiple times, this matchup. But at this point, Garja still has 4 trading posts with Stagecoach, and that means that they're not accounted for on that population graphic. So that's a ton of extra resources coming in economy, so to speak. There, but yes, both players electing to go up. But I think SoldieR, he just wants to put boats in the pond here. He knows he's got the 3 caravels in his deck and a frigate as well. Portuguese have a really powerful navy, and as a result, they just get extra sort of caravels in their deck, and whereas Spain does not have the 3 caravels, so can take control of the pond, and was just hoping to abuse the fact that he's got lots of town centres as well as a dock that he can place down, and all of these defensive structures. Town centres providing anti-ship attack. Just going to sit there and camp in the back, get his eco up. But Garja, he sort of does something similar. Not as, the Portuguese sort of more meant for that style, but yeah.
Yeah, and then here's just sort of the follow-up to that. He gets up to the next stage. He's dropping his TC off to the left to secure the hunts and gold. He drops the caravel in the pond. He's making an artillery foundry to help defend his base.
Yep.
The big thing here is, like, all of this wood was spent on TPs for Spain. Could they have tried to go super aggressive instead of spending, 400 wood, however much it is, on all these trading posts?
I don't know. I think the trading, like he sent advanced trading post, which makes them 40% cheaper and gives them a 25%.
Yeah, sure.
But
It's still a big investment, right?
But that's the trouble
card
versus
and all the wood.
versus, I think it's a good strategy, and I think that's like a very strong thing to do against Portuguese. The trouble with aggression is that on New England, especially against Portuguese, they have, you know, 2 town centers. There's that choke in the middle of the map. You can't really get behind towards their villages because you have to go through the middle of the map where that TC was standing, and Minutemen can be called. A shipment could arrive at that, and it will shoot at you if he puts villages in it. So just to get access to the villages that he wants to be shooting, which is the purpose of being aggressive, right, means that because New England is just so restrictive as a map, you'd have to like forward base on a really awkward side like where we're looking here, and it's just not ideal because you're so far away from anything. But this is the next clip, organ guns taking down, and this I think is Soldier's first push out
but
back.
at the same time though, his fledgling water economy is getting taken down as well.
Yeah, and maybe Garja should have, you know, been more aggressive on the water perhaps to shut this down. Like, he sort of just this sort of worked out. He got 1 caravel for free and used it, actually really effectively, shut down the water economy. But,
early. But
yeah.
Later on in the game, he doesn't really do anything to stop the multiple fish boom that's happening. When it's
Yeah,
more than 2 or 3 fish, he ends up having, 10, 15 fish.
But the trouble is, once the water economy gets really set up, it's very difficult to go back. Once towers are there, it's so hard to push into them. But this is a new clip. We're going through these very, very quickly.
Oh, this is lovely, though. Like, these caravels, they just spawn behind this army, destroy the falconets so quickly, and then all of Garja's army here is just sort of, picked away at for free, thanks to the power of these boats just spawning.
Yeah, but equally, there was a really nice response from Garja. He had cannons training, and these boats did a lot of work, but now they're sort of trapped, right? I think SoldieR was hoping to be able to defend them more with his military, but with those falconets on there, they're sort of moving out, and they are able to take down those boats there. But that was a really, really important moment in the game.
Well, I think it looked like Garja was starting to come forwards with a push, and the boats just sort of stopped that, slowed him down, took out 2 falconets, which is, pretty useful thing to do against their army.
Yeah.
And so even if he does lose the caravels, I think it was pretty good for him.
Yeah, I suppose that's true, right? It's he killed a lot of units, and the falconets 2 falconets is a shipment, 3 caravels is also a Fortress Age shipment, so they're basically the same in terms of value. So actually, yes, you are right. He got it was a good trade there. But on New England, those boats are just so valuable, right, that you really, really want to be keeping them alive. Like the 3 caravel shipment is perhaps worth maybe more than the 2 falconets, just because New England, the boats have so much control.
Speaking of boats,
yeah, a frigate from Garja being plopped in the pond there, and that was really, really helpful. Like for a very large portion of the game. Not a great engagement there. The Rodella is a little bit too far forward, but it does have some cannons in the back. But this is where I think Culverins this is the first couple of Culverins coming out in the game, and this is a moment where the Culverins are just really, really solid unit to be making, because you're going to be able to force back the cannons that your opponent has, but also contest the water. They have like incredible anti-ship damage. They do like times 10 versus boats or something.
And they've still got their insane range to pick them off from relative safety behind your
Yeah,
army.
and it looks like Garja was trying to walk forwards with his Falcons to get in range of the Culverins and shoot them down. Like, Falconets can kill Culverins, but only when they're in range. But that, like, 3 or 4 extra range the Culverin has just makes it so difficult to do that. And he sort of, like, just lost his... I think he was hoping to clean it up with his Falconets instead of making Culverins of his own, but... yeah, he didn't make Culverins, and that's just the story, perhaps, of this series, right?
And there's basically a lot of this happening in this game. Lots of like back and forth fights on either side of this trading post down here in the south.
Yeah.
Right, like
But that's
see
just
a couple
because
of siege weapons getting picked off for free here and there, then retreating back to the frigate, pushing forwards again, retreating again.
And
right?
that's naturally the fighting will happen here because of how the map, like because of the choke and because the boats are so important. And this is just sort of where the action happens because it funnels you into that location on this map. But yeah, you can see like at the moment Garja in a solid position. He's got the whole route and he's forced SoldieR back into his base. But yeah, it's really a back and forth on that stretch of land. We're looking at the lack of coin. It looks like SoldieR did find that coin mine in the end, but. And there's a coin mine on the island.
Yeah, you were discussing that because he has the water control, so to say, and that he is out there actively, he can move there later on if he needs to. Like,
Garja did actually get his plantation and mill switch done sooner, but didn't find the window to punish SoldieR, right, whilst he was also switching. Because you at some point run out of natural resources and then have to switch like pretty much every ville to wood.
Yeah.
But didn't find that window to punish him.
This is like a really nice fight, though. SoldieR managed to snipe off both of the Culverins from Garja, and he still has his Culverins alive, so he can pick off these Falconets at the back freely, while the other army just sort of fights back and forth in front of them.
And I think Garja knows that he has to just do something about these cannons, so keeps walking the Falcons forward, loses a few, but does pick them off with the Falcons. So you can do that, like I was saying earlier, and does come out on top there. Throws the Rodelleros into cover mode, which makes them much more tanky.
Do they normally walk in that circle formation, though?
Yeah, they do. That's just they're supposed to protect something in the middle, but really it's just sort of used to, like, they take less damage when they're in that mode, but they also do less damage.
I've never seen them walk in a circle like that. Normally it still seems to be a bit of a rectangle line formation.
It's different for, I mean, like with different units do different things.
Right? Okay.
And you can see there, he's got the skirms in the middle again, which is... But organ gun's going to pop here. Just so much artillery this game. Like, controlling artillery was actually really important in these games, and SoldieR did a really, really solid job. Town center going on, and that's where he shuts down any potential kind of... if that town center goes up, Garja cannot contest the water, because town center have so much anti-ship damage.
And we also see just how many fishing ships SoldieR has made, right?
Yeah.
There's just like a huge fleet of them just roaming the waters, trying to find fish and whales and stuff to gather the resources.
I mean, what Garja needed to do was, the island there in the middle, if he could get a villager on that, and he could have done that really early, right? He had that caravel the whole time when he aged up on the ocean. SoldieR decided to use his caravel as a means to be aggressive or whatever it was on the pond, but Garja could have used it on the ocean, shut down some of the fishing, and then indeed put an outpost on that island, right? Ship a villager over to the island, build an outpost, and outposts have incredible anti-ship damage, and you just, like, have control of the ocean then, because you've got these defensive structures sort of on that offshore island. But here, this is, I think, the first point in the game where...
This is like the first really, really big fight in Industrial Age.
Yeah, really knocking on Garja's door here and sort of forcing something to happen. But coming in with that frigate, trying to do damage... No, it goes down! Oh my goodness!
Culverins just like one-shot it, basically.
Yeah, they're so powerful against boats and artillery.
And all these Falcons at the back just getting picked off before they can even unlimber.
Yep. And that's not ideal. Really not ideal. And so many organ guns in the front there as well. The Rodelleros trying to come in to just deal with these units, but
it's a bit late to kill the Culverins. It's already killed your frigate. It's already killed all 4 of your Falconets. Like, is it well, obviously it's worth it because they're an expensive unit, but it's a little too late, I feel, to be doing that.
Yeah, and this is the moment, right, where SoldieR really does gain sort of control and has successfully taken that middle and is starting to push into Garja's base. I think that really was sort of the beginning of the end. There was a few times where Garja, nicely pushed back and got sniped off some culverins and other artillery and held on for quite a long time. But that seems to be where the tide really sort of did turn.
And we're about to see another one of these big fights. This is very much sort of like the very, very end.
Yeah.
Where there's a huge mass of Rodelleros coming out. There's another frigate.
It's dealing with these 2 heavy cannons. They're the really important thing here. They're incredibly strong and usually are a big turning point in any game. But they've got such big economies and they're arriving really late. And here the Rodelleros are able to get melee damage on them. The Lancers there. He did pay a lot of units to kill them, but does manage to kill them and then does come out on top here and is able to force back these units here. But it's at this point in the game as well. You see where walls are really going to be starting to be valued. You see soldiers really starting to wall up on the minimap.
Like 2 layers of walls up on the north left-hand side, kind of.
And you sort of just got to hunker down, protect your economy, really wall up and be safe. And actually, even maybe there's another clip. I'm not sure.
There's 2 more.
Oh wow. Okay, we'll talk about that a bit later on then. But yeah, I mean, Garja had a lot of resources that game, and
for sure,
we'll see that. But
I think this is one of my favorite moments, though.
Yeah.
When we've got a little bit of a raid coming into the north, and then for some reason, Garja has his factory wagon just sitting next to this TC, probably thinking, oh, he's only attacking in the south. It'll be fine up here. And these Hussars and Dragoons just sort of appear.
Yeah, he wants
to... Much, oh, shit, there's stuff here.
He wants to place his economy down in one place, so it's sort of easy to defend. But it arrives just as those units decide to go and raid, which is really not ideal. It does build very quickly, and he's not going to be able to siege it with low siege units such as cavalry. But it does go up, and it's just so irritating to deal with these Rodelleros.
All of this army is now forced to run to the north to try to chase them away.
Yeah.
Taking free damage from the caravels as they run past, and it gives SoldieR an opportunity remass his army and prepare a push.
Yeah, and just move into the middle where there's fewer Garja units to defend here, but going to be killing villages and just, as you mentioned, force the units back. And as I said in the previous clip, walls really, at this point in the game, are very, very strong, especially with the Bastion upgrade, which gives you, and that's a monitor, which is not a frigate. It's got like a mortar locked onto the front, and its special ability is a super long range, using that there to kill the Rodelleros. It's got like tons of area damage.
Really huge splash damage just to flatten anything nearby.
But usually you see them being used on artillery, because you can pick artillery off from ridiculous range with the monitors. They're very powerful boats here, and this is really tough for SoldieR now. He does manage to kill the monitor, but like you can see how much defense is being built on that pond. Like behind that there's a town center going up, and there's 2 outposts already with all the upgrades. So it's just SoldieR is just locking down the water, and as soon as he can get 2 monitors, which is the build limit on that pond, he can target anything in Garja's base. Factories, mills, plantations, they have such strong range, that special ability on the monitor. You can start shelling from the... You're supposed to be using them like in naval fights and shelling offshore, but when they're on like ponds, it just like...
It can basically hit half the map.
Yeah, pretty much. And at that point, like, SoldieR was really digging his heels into Garja's economy and really set, and it really was sort of changing to be in SoldieR's favor. Was that the last clip?
That was the last clip of that game. Garja
in the end,
GG there.
Yeah, Garja still had like 3k of each resource, so he could have kept going, but he probably was losing the war of attrition. He didn't have his defenses up. He'd lost a few villages, so he's going to be...
He had a bit of a weaker economy because he no longer really had the trade line.
Yeah, that's true.
SoldieR was pushing in. He's taken at least one of them. He destroyed 2 of the other ones as well. So Garja wasn't getting that extra resource income.
And also the Portuguese player, SoldieR, had a ton of fishing ships as well, right? So, at that point, there were no more fish left to gather, but the coin mines, or the whales are a source of coin, especially as Maito said in the game. It's a low coin map, and that's really, really valuable.
Yeah, for sure. So on to game 4. This was my favorite game. We've got the France mirror.
Yeah, we see the Samwise built. This was so well from SoldieR. He got a batch of like 5 cav and 4 muskets. Like whenever I do this at home, I might get 5 cav, but I'll probably get like 1 or 2 muskets. But he gets both units. I think he delayed queuing the batch, for a little bit. But when he does queue them, he knows that the resources will be enough to get them out, and it's just so good. Like this used to be the French meta. You'd like do this Samwise build here. I think now that people have discovered semi-fast fortress is very, very strong. You can't do that on this map though, because no trading posts. We're going back to that Samwise agenda, and you can see here, I was really, really worried for SoldieR here, because that Explorer gets the snare, and then these cav, he's just splitting them up.
Trying to get in there and trap him.
Trying to trap them, and you can see if he gets that, if he engages the cav there, Garja loses that fight. You cannot take...
Right? It's 5 cav versus 4 or 5 cav and 4 or 5 muskets,
and that's
right?
that's the power of that Samwise build. It's so flexible. You have a stronger early portion because you've got more units, and then also you've got cav and barracks, and you can adapt, and you don't even have to train units. You could just go up to the fortress age. So it used to be just this incredibly flexible, and it still is a really flexible and really strong build. But I'm sure the next clip will show the double racks of the 700 wood.
The double racks, and then starting to push forward with a big mass of muskets.
Yeah, so all game long we saw Garja actually basing these cav and these musks away whilst he was building 2 barracks in the back. We haven't seen them yet, but they are there, and as a result you've got a few musks there they are now, and then we'll see a batch of 10 musks arrive, and Garja still has the same resources as SoldieR, just hasn't spent them all yet, and they're now going to be turned into musketeers, and now this puts Garja decisively sort of in the lead at this point. And what he wants to be doing with these units is to come and take that racks out and do some really, really powerful damage. SoldieR just does not have the musketeer mass to contest this, and could
his
well...
hussars are pretty useless against that many muskets.
Yeah, they are, but they can go and raid, and it was something he did do very well all series long.
There aren't many clips of the raiding because it was so often. Like every time he'd go and he'd pick one villager and run away.
Yeah.
Then he'd come back and pick another villager and run away.
And in Age 3, raids are just happening all the time,
right?
And you have to respond to them all the time. Just because you can't wall off your base. The maps are so open, right? And it's hard to wall up fully. But it does a good job on raiding there. But I was really hoping, that he could really come in with this big musk mass and take down these forward buildings and secure a really solid position.
He does that pretty soon now. He secures the middle, but his economy is starting to fall behind, right? We can see now he's 8 villages behind, and this is only, 3 minutes or less later than the previous clip. So in that time, he's still got a slight military advantage, but his eco is really falling behind at this point.
Yeah, SoldieR doing such a good job with the raiding there, and it looks like SoldieR dealt quite well with the because of the raids. It forced bunches of musks back. Garja didn't manage to take down those forward buildings, and we get to this later portion of the game where everything is quite even in terms of what they're doing. But Garja just has fewer villages, and as a result, like the longer this goes, the better it is for SoldieR. So SoldieR's goal now is just to sort of drag this game out here, and going up to the Fortress Age is absolutely what he wants to be doing. He can sneak that in. He's going to sacrifice the stable, but that's okay.
Well, you say sneak it in, but Garja's already, halfway up to Fortress.
Oh, pardon me. I was looking at the wrong player. I was. I need to put my glasses on. Is what I need to do.
Fair
Yeah,
enough. But here we're going to see the cannons coming forward from Garja, trying to push in to SoldieR's base while he's got a little bit of a tech advantage, and there's basically a little bit of miss micro.
Yeah,
is really all that can be said in this engagement coming up.
Yeah, so what I'd like to see is his falconets a bit further forward, like in range of that town center. So as soon as Blue's falconets pop, you can target them because they come out unlimbered, right?
On the backside
they
as
have
well.
and they have to turn. They have to set up and shoot. But here, just sort of walking in, okay, it's fine to be doing that if you're paying attention to your falconets. If you can win that falconet exchange, then fine. But lost a lot of musks sort of walking in there, which is really not ideal. If his falcons were further forward, which I would really have liked to see, he could have sniped those falcons perhaps as they arrived, which is the advantage of getting up sort of a bit sooner here. But
and we just see the hussars still running around doing some raiding, but here, just the falconets, they're sort of getting blocked on these dunes, getting blocked by the muskets, and they just get picked off.
I think they're getting blocked by the muskets there.
And they're dead, and he hasn't killed either of SoldieR's falconets.
Yeah, and again, as we saw in a previous game, it's down to that artillery control, and SoldieR really, really on point with his artillery control, and he's coming out on top on all of these artillery exchanges. Really, really well done from SoldieR, and often in these games, they do decide the game a lot of the time.
Well, we said that in the artillery exchanges he's microing well. Here, he's not microing particularly well. Look at those falconets. They're so far away from his army, all by themselves.
Yeah, in comes the goons.
Here comes these dragoons and picks them off.
Yeah, they're definitely out of position. But SoldieR, he is leading clearly at this point, but does manage to get those falcons, and that means like Garja's still not in a great spot, but not in an overwhelmingly bad spot now.
He can still do something in this game.
Yeah, but
against the two Falks.
But remember, he's been raided all game long, and his vill count just doesn't look ideal.
He's still 11 villages behind.
Yeah,
which is very, very not ideal.
He's going to pick some up
more back here, which is nice, but it's not enough to turn the tide at this point.
Yeah, and we see the units lost 15 from
Garja and 6 from SoldieR there.
Yeah, and they only went down in the last couple of moments of that clip. But
and then just the final one is basically the end of the game.
Raiding and artillery control. SoldieR, clearly well practiced and clearly a very strong player at the moment, been playing a lot recently. But yeah, this is that final moment in the game. And here we see SoldieR sort of villagers. They want to mine coin, but also those villagers are very happy to be being shot at. The villagers want to be shot at. They actually
they're a nice little bullet sponge.
They take 40% of range damage resist, right? And any damage going on the CDBs is not going on the army, and that means you just get ahead in terms of like the fight. And really, the game here is decided by the outcome of the fights, because if you have no map control because you lost all your units, then you actually can't gather resources. So in a way, just trading vills off in fights is actually quite strong. And
especially if you know you're ahead economically.
Yeah,
you know you've killed 10 plus villages from your opponent.
And you can see
you're okay to sacrifice 1 or 2 of them to win a fight.
And even more if you need, like Garja's happy to do it here as well, just because if he loses this fight, he cannot gather resources anywhere on the map. Like, he has to win that fight there. And you can see him sort of kiting back, just because that's what you do with scams, but towards his villages specifically, where he's got great coats. And actually, France could well be a strong civ on the Thar Desert, which is, not normally something I'd have thought of, because you want the trading post. There are no trading posts on that map, but I'm looking forward to seeing more games in the qualifiers and the New World Championships with France, maybe even with the Pioneer shipment, which gives 65% villager hit points. Ooh. And then you've got these really tanky French villagers, and
go for a bit of a vill rush.
Well, you have to be on the map. Like Thar Desert, you cannot herd very well, and you will end up with your villagers all out on the map somewhere. And having tanky villagers will be really helpful, and it will also, just because they won't die, you'll be less susceptible to raids. But also, when you take any kind of fight, those villagers, if you're nearby with the military next to the villagers, you're going to be very, very strong, and it's going to be hard for your opponent to break into you and sort of push into you there. So villagers very strong, and that's probably why the French mirror happened on that game.
Like, I was expecting to see Russian or some other really aggressive civ where they don't need training posts.
We saw that, right, in Kaiserklein versus Maito to Russia. And I think Russia would have been a fine pick, but I think France, now that I think about it more, those villages it's
not too unusual.
Really looking forward to seeing more games on Thar Desert. I want to see how people approach it, because it's not a map people play very often. People don't really like the Thar Desert all that much, simply because you are forced to be out on the map, and the trees in your base are really far away from the town center, so you also are susceptible to raids there. Like, it's just such a raid, aggressive, bloody, scrappy map, and I think people haven't been playing it so much because it's something that hasn't been explored too much. I'm really excited to see more games on Thar Desert.
Right. Okay, so here we are. We're going into game number 5, Japan Mirror on Deccan, and Garja's a little bit well known for being a salty boy when people steal his treasures.
He socked G's in the chat.
Yeah, here we see SoldieR just getting in there and stealing this 90 wood treasure.
And that's been Soldier's style all game long.
He's just like, yes, I got it.
So I think SoldieR particularly going for this style, because this is a bit of a grudge match. SoldieR really doesn't think that this SoldieR style with the explorers is very good, and Garja gets very upset and very salty when Garja when Soldier's explorers are just sort of walking around the map and their sole aim is to be annoying and to steal treasures. Exactly, right? And that's a perfectly valid strategy, but Garja, very standard, very by-the-book, textbook kind of guy, and he thinks it's not good, which means it's not good to him, and whenever it happens to him, he gets angry, because it shouldn't be working. It's not very good, but it seems to be working, and because of that, on the ladder, he's been, Garja and SoldieR have been going at it, and SoldieR sort of been doing that to Garja, and he's been doing it in this series as well.
But here we see he's playing incredibly aggressive. He's here really early with a lot of military, denying this barracks on the front, picking off some villages, and just sort of slowing down Garja's.
That barracks should not have been on the front. He should have seen, I don't think he saw the proxy racks, but you can scout Japan really easily just by looking at their deck, because it says ×2 on all their shipments, and as soon as they send one, it says that ×2 disappears. So he should have known that 5 ashes was sent and could see that, and then would know, okay, something's up, something's aggressive, and should have placed the racks sort of behind his town center. Maybe the racks foundation went down too soon for him to check that, but either way, it results in nearly not getting it up, certainly losing a villager for it,
and a ton of idle time. Like, most of his economy at the moment is just sort of sitting in his TC, unable to work.
Yeah, but that's not. I mean, that's okay, because 10 villagers in a town center are working. When they're firing, they are working. Yeah. It's like that.
They're picking up the army.
That TC damage is actually very valuable. So you are okay to not be gathering if you have 10 vills shooting at something. Like that's perfectly reasonable. But he probably had far more than 10 in that town center and was unable to really train any units. And I think SoldieR clearly wanted to be aggressive. SoldieR was going for this all-in Japan sort of rush. I mean, the game went very long in the end, because I think he was very successful and killed a lot of villagers, like we saw. But it's I think SoldieR not comfortable with Japan and just wanted to end the game there. He was up, that was the final game for him. If he could win that, he would win there. And he knows, okay, I'll just do I think his style was that my civ pool's going to run a bit dry. I'm just going to do a bunch of all-ins. I can drop a couple of games and
that
still
doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I can still win this series.
Fair enough. And we see they're just sort of fighting a little bit in the middle. It's no longer incredibly aggressive. He's no longer running under the TC as much. Just fighting around the middle, trying to take a little bit of map control, secure some more shrines, maybe do some sieging. Stuff like that in the middle.
Yeah, a bit of an exchange here. I was a little bit worried for SoldieR because, pardon me, for Garja here, because normally you do not see Ashigaru attack coming in so soon. I think, his intention there was, he could have shipped 5 Ashis and sent them across the map, but they'd have to walk all the way across the map to get into his base, or he could upgrade the attack, which he did, and that just affects them immediately, right? Mm-hmm. So he had extra strong Ashigaru musketeers. You don't usually see that until you have a big, big mass, but wanted that early advantage, so to speak. And in that engage we just saw there, I think Garja didn't realize that actually those musketeers were slightly stronger. So he had a very even exchange, and he was fine to take that exchange, but he didn't know that he shouldn't be taking the exchange.
And he didn't realize that it wasn't as even as he thought it would be.
Exactly, that's exactly what I'm saying, yeah.
And we're about to see a little bit more raiding SoldieR running on the back with his units, trying to just pick off villagers while Garja's sort of busy in the middle destroying a shrine.
Yeah.
All of his armies in a bit of a wrong position at the wrong time.
Yeah, and it's just Garja wants to be out on the map being aggressive, but every time he does that, SoldieR on point. He's very well practiced, just waltzes into the base with a few units, and Ashi's really good at raiding. He has slightly extra speed compared to other muskets, and just kills so many villagers, and it's really, really effective raids. There's sentries being called, perhaps to try and snare the units, because his army's nearby, and then he wants to get back over and defend it. But SoldieR just, pulling Garja's whole army back. Garja wants to get out there and do stuff, but SoldieR not going to let him, going to force him to deal with these raids.
Well, you don't want to allow this many military units running around your base freely.
Yeah.
Right, it's just asking to lose villages here and there that you can't really prevent.
Asking for trouble, yeah. But just raiding so effective here, and sometimes it's very...
He just manages to sneak away here. Right, if he'd been, like, 5 seconds slower, then Garja's army would have been between him and that crossing.
And that could have been, could have spelled something really bad for SoldieR, but gets away with it.
Clip again.
Yeah. Okay.
On to the next one. And here, Garja's making his first real offensive play, really, of the game. Walking in towards this castle. And
I think he wanted to do this a lot sooner, but...
yeah, this is not really the first time he's being offensive, and then just these flaming arrows pop out and just force him back.
Yeah, I don't think Garja really expected SoldieR to train artillery. That just seems to be something SoldieR likes to do more recently than, like... That's not really something you see all that much, but he sees the artillery there, and that gives him, like, trading off those units for the information is really valuable, because now Garja knows what to do. He sees the artillery and can do something about it. But yeah, first offensive play that he's been permitted to do, because SoldieR...
instantly cut down.
And flaming arrows popping out and just pew-pew. But here...
We saw at that moment that Garja was up to the industrial age,
yeah.
And here we see coming in with the industrial upgrades on his units.
That's a very expensive upgrade to get, but it gives you 30% attack and hit points. It's an insane upgrade.
The problem here is he just sort of needs to get his flaming arrows up to the front so that he can take out SoldieR's flaming arrows.
Yeah. He's just trying to get into range of them. I mean, he's got so many flaming arrows that he does take that out. But again, no offense to Garja, but his sort of artillery control here, not ideal. But does, he's got so many more.
He does massive numbers. He's winning this fight, obviously.
And he got all these from the double flaming arrow shipment in the industrial age. And, with the guard Ash, he's in a really, really solid spot. Loses more villagers. Again, SoldieR absolutely on point here. But now just going to sort of clean up some buildings. I'd like to see SoldieR sort of Garja sort of ignore these shrines. I guess they're so quick to kill that it's sort of fine, and you might population block your opponent. But I'd like to see those flaming arrows sort of going in a bit more aggressively and taking out some of the key infrastructure like barracks.
We're going to see him try to do that.
Okay, so...
And it's not going to turn out...
But he could have done this.
As he wants.
Imagine if he'd done this so much sooner before those flaming arrows had popped. This is like a whole 20, 30 seconds later of time. But now you see, like, if he'd killed the castle or something, like these flame. I don't know if he'd necessarily been able to do that, but yeah, you can see here coming in with the cavalry, those two incredibly high HP daimios, their leaders, to do a bit of damage there. But as a result, sort of trades off a lot of the musketeers here. And once these ashes go down, there's nothing really stopping those other ashes from going into hand combat. And quite a few times in this fight, you see a few flaming arrows you saw them just there twizzle around. They want to target buildings. They target whatever's closest, and you need them to be targeting military. So
obviously, in this case, because there's just so many units, you want to get that splash damage and kill as many as you can.
That consulate being on the front is tanked so much damage this game, and it's been so valuable. And here, no front line anymore, and the units can just go into melee combat and just bash down these flaming arrows. And this should have been a game-winning moment for Garja, but it didn't go the way he wanted it to, lost that front line and killed all the flaming arrows there. But by no means out. That is the game that Garja won, simply because at this point in the game he's in the industrial age. He's got his Ashy upgrade. I think SoldieR trying to follow him up. He needs to match that eventually. But
the problem is, he's just spent all those resources going industrial while Garja's spending the same number of resources making more military.
Garja found a more ideal time to sneak the upgrade in, right?
And generally, if you're the first person to do it, if they don't punish you for doing so, you have a huge advantage, because they're going to do it at some point to catch up.
Yeah, unless you have like the fast age politician or something, in which case you see the mage up, you can just sort of follow them up. But in this particular case, Garja just has these incredibly solid units, and SoldieR wants to be defending these shrines in the town center, but against Guard Ashigara, that's just so hard.
The military count is insane. It's 50 to 7.
It's also a little bit awkward that he elected to make sort of the Yumi Archer. At this point, like, they've been stacking a bunch of like Ashigaru upgrades, and to then switch into Yumi, it's not sort of teched into it, right? So just sticking with like pure muskets with the extra speed that they have and the extra upgrades you've been sending. I feel like the Yumi didn't really do SoldieR any favors in that game.
But at that point, the game is over.
Yeah, and Garja picks up the victory, stops SoldieR from getting that clean sweep, and I think Garja will be pleased that he got that point on the board. It avoids sort of something that's a bit humiliating almost. You don't want to be 5-0.
You never want to be swept
in any series.
Tournament series, or not really a tournament, but like a showmatch series. Anything that's
in any series.
going to be seen by lots of people.
And I want a big shout out to Garja. I mean, he is a salty boy, and we can spam EsocG in the chat however much we like. But big shout out to Garja for playing that series. He didn't have to, but. We got to see Garja play, which we rarely do, and it was a really, really fun game, and it was great to see. So I'm really pleased that Garja played that.
And he was playing well, right? It's not like he just instantly lost any of the games.
Except the last one.
Except for this one that we're about to see.
But at that point, he's got to be, quite...
Yeah, by this point, you're probably a little bit tilted. But we see here getting a little bit of revenge. He comes in here, he manages to steal the treasure
not Garja's style, but when you do see a treasure that's being contested, you do sort of stay hidden and you do go for it at the last moment. But SoldieR's style in particular is seeking out these moments. He tries to make these moments happen. Garja will do it if he can see it.
Happens to be there by accident.
If it happens to be there, but here gonna snipe that tomahawk treasure, and that's a really, really good thing to be getting here. Ottoman often want to be making a lot of trading posts, and on a map like High Plains, you're going to see a lot of trading posts and stuff like that. The Silk Road card is very strong. So getting this tomahawk and doing so much damage to, you see here coming in for the nature friend, not because he wants the coyote, but because...
Just to kill it so that he can essentially get it out of the way so he can grab the treasure.
Yeah, and he's not going to be using that nature friendship on really anything else. Like, the only good guardians are like the really big beefy outlaw riders or pistolaries or something like that. But this is a big moment because he can now chase that explorer home and basically kill it and deny any trading posts from going up, which is probably why Garja went... probably why SoldieR went sort of all in. He still probably had the option open to do something a bit less all in, but when he lost his explorer, building trading posts become very hard, and maybe he was planning it from the start, I don't know, but ships the 700 food, which is not a great shipment. But
we're about to see this. We're going to see the beginning of his mass Janissary rush. And really, these are the only options for Ottoman, in my understanding. It's basically you go for mass Janissaries or you try to do some sort of fast fortress into...
No, that's not the case.
That's all that I've really seen people do.
You can do, you've seen a lot of Jan Abbas, which is a much more standard way to play with a few trading posts. Like, the Ottoman economy is actually quite good once in the early game when they've got trading posts, because they're not making villages, right? So that's sort of a bonus in themselves. They don't have to train them. But, this is there's a lot of options, but this is an all-in Jan rush. He just... jams down 2 barracks, sends 700 food, and just uses that food to spam these very expensive, very food-heavy units here. And when he saw the 700 food in base, that should have been a big cue to not make a stable. He made the corral there. If that had been a war hut in the back of his base, which it could well have been, then he could have had 5 Aena coming out, and then he could ship is it Anna? I think no, it's Sea Tambo. Ships, train some Sea Tambo, ship some Sea Tambo, and then suddenly you've got a massive Sea Tambo that you can defend against the Janissaries with. But elected for the corral there. I'm not sure if he put that down before he saw the 700 food, but it should have been very clear when that 700 food arrived that SoldieR was intending to all in. And when you know it's happening, you can sort of deal with it, and then...
At this point, he can't really stop anything. He's just hemorrhaging all these villagers that are dying, trying to build the war hut.
This war hut's just gone up so late. I mean, it's no credit to... Garja, unfortunately, all his hunts are just sort of out in the middle of the map. This is his only hunt, right? And he's trying to build it to defensively on the hunt, but just... You can see just so many... He just doesn't get it up, and just all the villagers die, and it's just obviously GG there. And not ideal. I think Garja at that point maybe just wants the series to be over, but here...
Well, you see at this point he's basically given up. He's not trying to do anything to save his villagers or his
No, well, he's just furiously typing, as you can see.
He's just sending messages instead.
Yeah, but that is the end of the series there, and well done to SoldieR. I'd like to have him on next week if he would like to play again, but we'd like to do another series next week. SoldieR, you're very welcome to play. We'll see if we'll find another opponent for you, but... Damn, that was a really fun series. Not a super close one, but some really excellent games in there. There were certainly a few games that Garja definitely could have won where he didn't. So, could have seen a stronger showing from him. And there were a few games in there that came down to just, poor artillery control in one moment. Games, if they had been even artillery exchanges on that game on Kamchatka, and then where was the second game where that happened? I can't remember. But
Thar Desert.
Yes. If those artillery exchanges had been closer, if they'd been even exchanges, so to speak, because what happens really is you both fire at each other's falc, and then you trade one off each, and then you'll both end up losing both of your falconets, and neither of you will have any falconets. But SoldieR came ahead on both of those fights, and when that happens, the game sort of shifts tremendously, and it's not that even thing anymore. But could have gone on much longer, those games, had they been fair or even falconet exchanges.
Okay, fair enough. Just looking in the chat, it looks like we're getting a new emote, AoE HS,
Oh,
AoE Home Shitty,
home shitty.
because you seem to say Home Shitty quite often.
That sounds like a fun emote. We can spam that when like people get, like when units pop on top of you and stuff.
I'm just wondering though, like, what's the emote going to look like? It looks like it's not approved just yet. Maybe Zach or Ham could just show it on the stream.
Can we see it? It's going to be very small,
so that we can take a look
3
at
versus
it.
infantry, but the numbers really dwindling away now, and SoldieR has shipped 2 heavy cannons from his home city, pardon me, and also has Gunner's Quadrant enabled as well, which is extra range and line of sight on artillery pieces here. These, I think, heavy cannons will be the final blow to Garja. He really needs an answer to these buildings and to these units. They are very, very powerful. 400, nearly 500 HP on an artillery unit. I'd like to see that being spammed when like a home city, a really decisive home city shipment arrives, and
He just gets a really nice timing where some units pop out.
Or you like trap a bunch of units or something like that. I'm just imagining like Dops or Halberdiers spawning on top of some cav and just like
killing them,
spamming them to death.
That would be pretty good.
Damn.
Okay. So what's the plan for the rest of the day?
I don't know. I've been casting all day. You tell me.
Well,